Chapter 1291. Tan Sikong finally became obedient. He turned around and begged Xiao Bei and the others. The 9 of them naturally could not kill Tan Sikong. Although they had the power to convict others directly, they had never used this power since the moment they obtained it. This power was used to deal with bad people who had clearly done something, but could not find any evidence to prove that they had done it. In other words, if you knew that your crime was punishable by death, I also knew your crime, and you also knew that I knew your crime. Without any evidence, then they would directly add 5 levels of crime without any evidence. It was fine to not kill Tan Sikong, but Xiao Bei and the others did not want to let him go so easily. Moreover, just adding the crime of fraud seemed to be difficult to vent their anger. Reform through labor and education. Work without giving him any wages. It's a very mysterious way to punish people. We can use it. Zhang Xiaobao suggested. People in prison also don't get paid for their work. Can't we just catch them and put them in? Xiao Bei asked. It's not the same. If we go through formal procedures, we have to submit the sentence. The reform through labor area will deal with it directly. It saves manpower and time, Zhang Xiaobao said again. In fact, he did not think that the labor camp was bad. The labor camp was very flexible, especially the time. If he spent more money, not only could he do easy work, such as watching other people work, but he could also go through special procedures and get out of the labor camp quickly. At that time, he liked to be educated through labor. First, he would investigate how to enter this place through labor. Then, he would find out what kind of capable people were inside. He would prepare enough money for himself to enter so that he could learn from the people inside. When the time came, it would be easy to get out. If he entered the prison, the guards would be too strict. It would be very tiring to escape, and it would be easy to get injured. Zhang Xiaobao also felt that the reform through labor itself could create value for society. No matter who earned the money in the end, it would definitely be used for consumption. Even in democratic countries, there were people who committed crimes. They were not caught, but compensated through labor. Of course, some prisons paid wages. This could not be compared at the moment, and they did not want to be so democratic. Now was an opportunity. Zhang Xiaobao wanted to bring this up. When the time came, local officials would have more opportunities for corruption and malfeasance. Otherwise, wouldn't it be too boring to have layers of patrol officers running back and forth? At the side, Wang Wan glanced at Zhang Xiaobao. Seeing that special smile on his face, she knew that evil thoughts had started to appear in his mind again, but she didn't know what they were. Xiao Bei and the others ran over to one side and whispered in each other's ears. After some discussion, they decided to follow their elder brother's idea. Walking back, Xiao Bei smiled at Tan Sikong. You're lucky. Big Bro is pleading for you, so we'll give Big Bro some face. Otherwise, you're dead meat. We're very cruel, right? Yes, no, you are very cute. It's my fault. I'm a bad person. Tan Sikong nodded and then shook his head. Since you admit that you're a bad person, then accept our labor education. Go and mine for a year. Xiao Bei announced. Mine for what? Zhang Xiaobao continued. Fortunately, he was also a high scholar. Let him teach for 2 years. If we find a remote place, we'll send him there. He'll teach for free for 2 years. If he teaches well, he'll be free. If he doesn't, he'll be caught and punished 5 times. I'm willing. Xiao Bei, listen to your elder brother Xiao Bao. Teach. I can continue to teach in Ezhou. It's remote. Tan Sikong naturally chose the latter. He definitely didn't want to go and mine. Not only would it be tiring, but it would also lower his status. Being a teacher was different. Even if he was punished, the students and their families would still respect him. He wouldn't be paid, and he wouldn't receive any holidays. At the very least, he wouldn't be poor in terms of food and clothing. Not to mention 2 years of free teaching, even 5 years would be fine. Xiao Bei and the others' decision was rejected by their elder brother, but they weren't upset. Xiao Bei rolled his eyes at Tan Sikong. After some consideration, he said, Don't expect to go to Ezhou again. Ezhou is remote, but it's not that the development isn't good. Especially Uncle Hu. He respects teachers very much. Otherwise, he wouldn't have given you a tiger pelt. Seeing that you don't have a tiger pelt with you, he must have been sold by you. If we really send you to Ezhou, who will pay for the travel expenses? At that time, Uncle Hu will very likely give you another tiger pelt. You don't know how strong the yearning for knowledge is in remote areas. Just thinking about it makes me angry. Your behavior isn't a simple fraud. You're stabbing a knife into someone's heart. What will the children there think? Tan Sitsung's face turned red from Xiao Bei's words. He hated that he couldn't find a big enough gap on the deck to crawl into. If it were an adult reprimanding him like this, he could still bear it. However, when it came from Xiao Bei's mouth, he felt that he really deserved to die. If I don't go to Ezhou, where will I be sent? Tan Sikong asked in a low voice. I don't know. Go with the ship. We'll run into a poor place as we go, Xiao Bei said with a sigh. Tan Sikong was happy because the fleet was now traveling along the Yangtze River. There couldn't be a poor place on either side of the river, so he nodded vigorously. Zhang Xiaobao laughed coldly and said, We're going to the south of Jiannan Road, not the east of Jiangnan Road. Wang Wan also laughed. The south of Jiannan Road was Yunnan. Not to mention the current Yunnan, the Yunnan of her time still had many remote and poor places. If they were to throw him there, they would probably offend him. Of course, for the children there, it was a kind of happiness. No matter what, Tan Sikong was still a high school graduate. He didn't pass the imperial examinations. One reason was that he was unlucky, and the other was that he didn't have the connections. He still had enough ability to teach the children. When Wang Wan thought of the actual situation there, she began to feel sad. Although it was said that the Chaoyang operation was a comprehensive and free education, there were still many places where there was no one to teach. The good things reported in the newspapers were for others to see, to give Li Longji confidence. Li Longji really didn't know the real situation. If he didn't live among the common people, how could he understand the suffering of the common people? At most, he would take a look when he was traveling. Then he would suddenly realize that the common people's lives weren't good. As for that kind of personal pain, it was hard to understand. If there's really no other way, volunteer teaching. Wang Wan said softly. Tan Sikong, Xiao Bei, and the others were at a loss. What did she mean? What was volunteer teaching? You still want to apologize? Publish it in the newspapers. We'll pay for it. Xiao Bei said to Tan Sikong. Report it. That's too embarrassing. Why don't we? Fine, it's better to lose face than to lose life. Tan Sikong was just about to bargain when he suddenly saw Xiao Bei's ferocious expression. He immediately changed his words. Then, he became very embarrassed and asked, The Great Tang's official report costs a lot, right? Dream on. The Great Tang's official report? Is that something you can go on? You can go on Wing Prefecture's official report and write about your mistakes and your determination to correct them. If you dare to use the pen to avoid the important points and dwell on the trivial, or even praise yourself, I'll let you know why the flowers are so red. Xiao Bei continued to threaten. It wasn't easy to catch someone who committed a crime. If he didn't satisfy his craving, he would be letting himself down. Why are the flowers so red? Tan Sikong was stunned and then asked. Because they need to attract insects to spread pollen. You're so stupid. Xiao Bei explained. Tan Sikong cupped his hands and bowed. I've learned. He really didn't know why the flowers were so red. It wasn't written in any book, let alone taught by a teacher. He didn't expect to have such a big gain today. At least he knew that the red of the flowers could attract insects. Xiao Bei was depressed. He pointed at Tan Sikong and said, I didn't mean to teach you about the flowers. It's to let you know how many eyes the horse prince has. Xiao Yuan quickly added. Tan Sikong understood now. It turned out that, why the flowers are so red, and, how many eyes the horse prince has had the same meaning. It was a threat, but it also contained knowledge. Sigh, He thought that Xiao Bei was teaching him out of goodwill. I've learned. Tan Sikong bowed again. I'm so worried. Xiao Bei patted his head and waved at Tan Sikong, shooing him away like a fly. Tan Sikong left and found a cabin to write an apology letter to be published in the newspaper. He felt that he had to think about it carefully, or else it would be dangerous. It was obvious that if he wrote an apology letter, it could be used as a confession letter. When the time came, many people would criticize him. He had to be sincere and let people think that he had changed. Yes, he had done wrong in the past, and he had to admit it. However, he could still turn over a new leaf. Why couldn't he change? After a few steps, Tan Sikong came back. I sold the tiger skin. How much did it cost? Go write your letter. Do you think you're short of a tiger skin? At that time, we were the ones who decided to issue the wanted poster. Uncle who didn't intend to pursue the matter and even interceded for you. Think about it. How did he treat you, and how did you treat him? How embarrassing. Xiao Bei waved her hand again. She didn't want to see Tan Sikong hovering in front of her. Tan Sikong was stunned for a moment, then sighed heavily. He turned around and walked away step by step. His head was lowered, and his waist was bent. Xiao Chong looked at him and said, "At least he has some sense of shame. When he's done teaching the students, we'll publish it in the newspaper of the Tang Empire. We'll talk about his change. Punishment is not the goal, but the means." Xiao Hai followed and said, "Yes, people are afraid of losing a heart that knows shame. Without a heart of morality and respect, the country is finished. Isn't that so? We have a heart of respect. We hold a lot of power, but we never abuse it. Brother, I don't understand. How did power come about?" After praising himself, Xiao Bei turned to ask his brother. The other 8 little guys looked at their brother and sister at the same time. They wanted to know the answer to this question, just like how Tan Sikong wanted to know why the flowers were so red. When one saw something, it was best to understand its essence. "Don't look at me. You say it," Wang Wan said to Zhang Xiaobao because Zhang Xiaobao signaled with his eyes for her to say it. Zhang Xiaobao thought for a while, organized his words, and said, "Power is fought for by oneself and given by others. The prerequisite is that the person who has the power must have the ability. At the same time, he must live in a group. An individual has no power. If we must say that an individual has power, it is the power to live or die. But if he joins a group, he will also lose the power to die." Ah! The 9 little guys spoke at the same time. They understood the power to live, but they didn't understand why the power to die could not be in a group. "I don't want to live. Can't I die?" Chapter 1292. "Brother, I have a question," Xiao Bei said. "Me too," Danan said. The other kids also nodded. It seemed that they all had something they didn't know. "Ask one by one." "You guys are really lucky to have met such a good brother," Wang Wan said to her younger siblings with a smile. Yes. I think that brother and sister are better than Confucius or Mencius. No matter what we ask, they can give us the answer. If only the teachers of Tang Empire could be like them." Xiao Bei nodded. "Yes, I believe that it will happen one day. Even if the teachers don't know how to answer, they can immediately find the information. Even if the teachers contact each other to answer a student's question, they can summarize the answer." Zhang Xiaobao said to his younger siblings with a smile. What he said was true. In the future, as long as the teachers were willing to be serious and responsible, there wouldn't be a situation where they couldn't find the answer, unless the students asked questions that couldn't be solved by modern technology. When there were no barriers to the exchange of information, all questions were not a problem. "I'll go first. I want to thank brother and sister, and also thank our parents. They let us see this colorful world and gave us a good brother and sister. My question is, how does power come about? Does it come about in a group?" Xiao Bei was a sweet talker. He said something nice first and then asked. Zhang Xiaobao answered, "Power comes from ability. Strength and intelligence, both of which are abilities. It has always been like this since the beginning of the animal kingdom. The alpha wolf must be the most powerful wolf in order to lead the wolf pack and survive. In a wolf pack with a large number of wolves, the alpha wolf must be smart and able to fight because the other wolves need it. Without it, survival is a problem. Yes, survival. Whether it is animals or plants, they all yearn for life. After saying this, Zhang Xiaobao asked Xiao Bei, "Then what about people?" Xiao Bei reacted quickly, "People? Of course, people also want to live, and they want to live better. It turns out that power is targeted? It is given by others in the group. I understand. When others give power to a person, they don't want that person to bully them. Instead, they hope that this person can lead them to live better lives. Thus, we cannot casually use this authority to deal with the person who gave us this authority. Although it appears that Uncle Emperor gave us this authority, it is actually the people of the Great Tang who gave Uncle Emperor this authority. Uncle Emperor represents the authority they gave us. The essence of our service is the people of the Great Tang." Xiao Bei thought about it and understood. After understanding, he felt that he had a greater responsibility. Wang Wan revealed a gratified smile. She walked in front of Xiao Bei and kissed her, saying, "Yes, so when you guys do things, your brother and I don't care. But when it involves an irreparable loss, we have to stop you." Wang Wan was really happy. There was nothing more important than letting children know more about the principles of life. She was also very satisfied with Zhang Xiaobao. He did not directly talk about people, but about wolves. It was a praise-type education. And what Xiao Bei said was right. Unfortunately, many adults did not understand. They became officials and held power for their own enjoyment, not to lead the people to live a good life. It was like taking someone's things and not giving them money when buying things. It was a rogue behavior. Rather than losing the people's hearts, it was better to say that it changed the nature of power. Wang Wan thought about what methods should be used to force the officials to do what they should do. When the time came, she would discuss it with Xiao Bao and see what he would say. "I have a question," Xiao Hai said. "If I want to die, why can't I die? I belong to myself. I should have this power, right? This is logic." Zhang Xiaobao replied, "When you are alive, you belong to yourself. When you exist among your own kind, you don't belong to yourself. You belong to the whole group. You may not understand, but your logic is too simple. Let me give you an example. Before you were born, did you need to stay in your mother's belly?" "Yes," Xiao Hai replied. "Our mother put you in her belly. She was afraid of bumping into you, so she was very careful when she did things. Our father was also helping. You saw how Ji Xiang, Rui, and the other three were before and after they were born, right?" Zhang Xiaobao's expression turned solemn. This was because life was not blasphemous. It was the continuation of the soul. Xiao Hai naturally knew what was going on. At that time, he even asked why his mother's belly had become bigger. After that, he received an answer. She said there was a little life in her belly, and it would take about 10 months for it to come out. Xiao Hai had been observing since then. He knew that he and Xiao Zhu would have their own babies in the future. At the same time, he knew very well how they could have babies. However, he was not allowed to think too much about it now because he was not at the age where he could bear the responsibility. Xiao Hai saw his mother with a big belly. Inside her belly was his younger brother or sister. His mother needed to listen to music, saying that it was for the babies in her belly. Her food was also limited, and her movements were also monitored. When the babies were about to be born, many people in Luzhou were anxious. The delivery room was even more nervous. Then, wrinkly little lives appeared. Some of them could not even open their eyes. However, he did not know why, but the moment he saw the little ones, he felt that he should do something for them. Now, Xiao Hai recalled what happened in the past again. He said to his brother, "It's different. I also know that it's not only for humans, but also for animals. Yes. That's why your life is not something you can have just because you want it. Many people have contributed to it. For example, if you have a difficult birth, do you need surgery? The doctors also contributed. Most importantly, when you were born, you didn't have a single penny. All the money was paid for by the court. Then, what is the court? It is the place where power is the most concentrated. The power comes from the people. This means that your birth is the result of the people's hard work. You still have to grow up. You eat the food that others grow and wear the clothes that others make. If you encounter something unhappy and want to die, you can die, but you have to repay the people who have contributed to you before you die. Moreover, there is interest, not only in terms of money, but also in terms of spirit. You said that they had just raised you and were waiting for you to do something to repay them, but you suddenly committed suicide. What about the large amount of money that they had invested in you before? Is that logical? Zhang Xiaobao analyzed this problem and asked. Xiao Hai shook his head. No, it's logical. If it's not logical, you have the right to die. If it's logical, you don't have the right. When you think about it, it's true. When Xiao Bao was in his mother's womb, someone had already contributed to him. When he was born, someone also contributed to him. When he went to school, someone still contributed to him because everything was free. It's like raising a pig. If the pig is gone, then it's raised for nothing. It's a loss. If it's an adult, when you can repay society, you commit suicide. The money and feelings that others invested in you are all gone. The real logic is that others invested in you before, and when you grow up, you increase the value of their investment, not force them to liquidate their positions. Therefore, if you want to die, you can't. Why do you want to die without giving others something in return? Even if you are willing, others aren't. At this moment, you have no power at all. Therefore, the person who commits suicide is an irresponsible person, someone who shouldn't have appeared in the group. If I had known earlier that you were going to die, I wouldn't have given birth to you. Since I couldn't have known earlier, I would have stopped you and used strong means to stop you. Xiao Hai thought as he spoke. In the end, he realized that society was actually like this. It was different from what he knew before. When he analyzed it from a different angle, the essence was highlighted. The other 8 little guys were also surprised. They had never thought about this problem. They always thought that they were themselves, and that they would pay what they got. In fact, they were not themselves. What they got was the foundation that they should pay. They lived in this group, so they had to do things for this group. It was a type of management that was in debt, and they had to repay it all the time. I'm a bit confused. The more I think about it, the more upset I feel. Xiao Zhu rubbed her temples and said, I'm also upset. Xiao Gang echoed. He didn't expect that after getting to the bottom of the matter, this would be the result. He sighed with emotion and helplessness. Xiao Bei patted his forehead again. The more he knew, the more unsolvable problems he found. Should he choose or compromise? Wang Wan saw that her younger brother and sister were not in a good state, so she said to Zhang Xiaobao, Look at you. Why did you explain it to them so thoroughly? You could have just explained briefly. Philosophy and the essence of life, are they supposed to bear at this age? Don't blame me. Philosophy and survival have already existed since the 2 babies started pushing each other when they were breastfeeding. Do you think that all the baby eagles can be restrained by 2 big eagles like Shuiyun and Hong Wan's children? Without our care and Shuiyun and Hong Wan's intelligence, it's impossible for 11 baby eagles to be born and grow up. They would have fallen to their deaths long ago. Zhang Xiaobao refuted Wang Wan. Seeing that their brother and sister were quarreling, the 9 little guys immediately stopped thinking about how they should live and wanted to persuade them. Xiao Bei reacted quickly and changed the topic. He asked, according to this, when killing someone, not only does killing someone deprive them of their right to live, but it also causes a loss to the whole group. Since that's the case, why should the murderer be killed by the law instead of taking responsibility for the person he killed and himself? Killing him is not the purpose, but to deter others. We use the fear of death to scare others not to kill. Zhang Xiaobao said. Then, he thought that the death penalty was rarely seen. It required the encouragement and brainwashing of society's pursuit of value. Only when the people in society felt that there was something more frightening than death could the death penalty be exempted. All the means were for the purpose of deterrence. Wang Wan said, "In the future, we may not need to kill to achieve the purpose of scaring others, but now is not the time. Humans have more pursuit of life. What other questions do you have to ask?" Me. Xiao Zhu said shyly, "Sister, what did you mumble about just now?" Chapter 1293. Wang Wan didn't expect that her casual remark would make her younger brothers and sisters take it seriously. She smiled and said, "Volunteer teaching is to support local education. In the place we are going to, there are many remote places where there are no teachers at all. If we don't support them, what will happen to the children?" "Oh, it's just like Brother's policy that those who pass the imperial examinations must first do free labor. Then what benefits do we get from supporting them? Let them get more money?" Xiao Zhu immediately put the two things together. "Not a lot, just a normal amount. Additionally, we give them the opportunity to enter a position with high welfare and high income. Moreover, they are not imperial examinations, but people who have taken the imperial examinations. Once they pass the examinations, they can't become officials immediately. They have to choose a remote place where there are no teachers to teach students. Otherwise, they won't be arranged a position. There are not enough people." Xiaonan thought of a problem and asked, "It's enough to increase the number of people who pass the imperial examinations. In the past, there were few people who passed the imperial examinations because the number of literate people in the Tang Empire was small. In the future, everyone will be literate and the number of literate people will increase." Wang Wan explained, "I still don't understand." Xiao Nan asked again, "If the number of literate people is large, there will be many positions for them. They don't have to be officials. In the future, there will be more literate people and the competition will be fierce. There will only be a few positions for officials. They will inevitably look for other positions. It's the same as the power just now. In the future, it may not be officials who have power, but other positions will also have power. Although it is said that they should use power on the people, the reality is that they want power more for themselves. In the future, there will be many jobs. If they don't want to pay more physical labor to obtain survival resources, they must occupy a certain position." After Wang Wan finished speaking, she considered her brother and sister's ability to understand and added, "That is to say, in the future, it's not that you are powerful just because you have mastered knowledge. If you want to be powerful, you have to pay extra, and you have to master more knowledge than others. Otherwise, it's absolutely impossible that the country or people in a certain industry will have to put you in an important position just because you have studied for a few years. Because the competition will be more fierce. No one can guarantee that your social status will be higher than others after you study. Everyone is studying. What you gain from studying is that you know the knowledge you need in life. When you encounter a special situation, you increase your chances of survival through your knowledge and make your life more convenient. Oh, you just can't take advantage of me, right?" Xiao Zhu said, and then took a step back, indicating that she had no more questions. "What about you? Do you have any other questions?" Wang Wan asked the rest of her siblings who hadn't asked anything yet. Everyone shook their heads. It seemed that the questions they were thinking about just now overlapped. After answering one person, the others also got the answer. "No problem. Go and play," Zhang Xiaobao said to the little guys. Xiao Bei and the others had run off. No one knew where they were going to play. They hadn't finished practicing their calligraphy, but Zhang Xiaobao didn't want them to continue practicing. His mind wasn't on practicing his calligraphy, so he forced himself to adjust his state of mind. If they were to play something else, they wouldn't have to worry about not being able to adjust their state of mind. They would probably be thinking about what had just happened while they were playing. They would discuss it with each other, and they would gain a lot from it. It was better than forcing them to practice calligraphy. The river continued to beat against the side of the boat as it moved forward. Mountains appeared on both sides of the river. Normally, there wouldn't be any pedestrians. However, at this time, there were many people on both sides of the river. When they came across a shoal, some people would build a road there. When they came across a mountain, some people would specially cut a cliff road that was protected by bamboo ropes. There were also people who specially hammered wood into the mountain walls, and then built plank roads. It made people feel that it was very prosperous. It was more than twice as prosperous as before. Behind the prosperity was the improvement of the quality of life. Otherwise, who would come out to travel for no reason? There were also many boats on the river. When the big boats were moving, there would always be people shouting. Because they were going against the current, it wasn't easy to slow down. They would shout in advance to let the small boats in front avoid them. This could minimize the danger. No one wanted to fall into the water, or someone else to fall into the water and die. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, who were standing at the bow of the boat, saw with their own eyes that a fishing boat was scraped and broken by a cargo ship that was transporting goods downstream. The people on the small boat were swimming in the water and were rescued by other small boats. Then, there was the sound of crying. It was probably the people on the small boat who were distressed over the broken boat. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't order the boat to stop and comfort the people whose boat was broken. An accident had happened, and it was fine as long as the people were fine. However, the two of them looked at each other and saw the same meaning in each other's eyes. We have to regulate the traffic, especially on the river. It's not easy to turn around when the boat is on the water. The speed of the boats flowing downstream is also fast. Even if the river is wide enough, it won't be enough when there are many boats. Zhang Xiaobao watched the team pass by the small boat and said to Wang Wan. Wang Wan also thought the same. The main thing is that there are too many small boats. Some are fishing, some are carrying passengers, and some are chasing after other people's big boats to do business. If we directly don't allow it, people will lose a part of their income. Let's set up a waterway, especially at the places on the shore that are suitable for fishing. Don't allow the commercial and passenger boats to pass by. Then, the remaining places to travel will become narrower. The slower boats will affect the faster boats. The current steam engine boats are really much better than the other boats with oars, sails, and boats that need to be pulled. If we set up a waterway, it will cause the steam engine boats to lose their advantage, and thus increase the cost. Xiaobao, why do I feel like we're setting up a highway? Do we have to ask the slowest speed of other people's boats on this river? Wang Wan couldn't think of a better way. After all, this waterway was more convenient than the land route. If they wanted to go from the lower reaches of the Yangtze River to Izhou, it would take at least 5 times more time to go by land. This was because there weren't so many roads, and even if there were, they would have to go back and forth for a long time. Zhang Xiaobao laughed and said to Wang Wan, I have a good idea. Really? Wang Wan didn't think that Zhang Xiaobao could solve this problem, unless they built a railway or replaced all the boats with steam engines. Of course, give a number to each boat and let them pass by on an odd and even day. Today is the odd day, so the boat with the odd number will pass by. Tomorrow is the even day, so the boat with the odd number can't pass by tomorrow. Zhang Xiaobao said with a look of, I'm very awesome. I divided you into odd and even days, and you only know how to come up with bad ideas. Not to mention that it takes more than a day to go back and forth. Where do you want them to stop? Let's say that there may be a place to stop, then their time will be wasted. You might as well suggest that everyone swim here to reduce the passage of boats. Wang Wan thought that Zhang Xiaobao had really thought of a way to solve the problem, but it turned out that he was joking. This kind of traffic rule was not good at all. It was purely a waste of transportation resources involved. They couldn't afford to go and stop one day and one day. At the same time, the value of the transported goods would increase. It was not cost-effective. How could Zhang Xiaobao not know this? After the joke, he followed the content of the joke and said, since it can't be an odd and even day, then why don't we add a traffic light? Everyone will follow the rules. With someone to command, there will be no need to worry about crashing into boats. Wang Wan's eyes lit up. It was really a way. It was not good for everyone to squeeze together. Moreover, they could continue to think along this line of thinking and divide the route even more. The steam engine boat would go on its own path, and no one else would be allowed to enter. If they encountered a narrow river, they could arrange it manually or find a way to make the river wider. But there was a problem. Traffic lights won't work. It can only be commanded by someone. If we pull a rope in the sky and hang a sign, then let the boat move according to the sign, won't the manpower cost increase? Zhang Xiaobao did not say anything. He looked up at the rolling clouds in the sky. The dark clouds came from the west. They were flying very fast, accompanied by strong winds. Looking at the endless clouds, it made people feel that there would be a heavy rain. Therefore, Zhang Xiaobao was considering whether the boats on the river would be affected by the heavy rain and thus block the route of his team. If the heavy rain could cause the boats to panic and make mistakes, then what would they do when they encountered a fog? Wang Wan waited for a while. Seeing that Zhang Xiaobao did not say anything, she thought about it and said, "Yes, the increased manpower cost is actually lower than the cost of the delay in the sailing process and the danger of crashing into boats. We can charge a fee and pay the people in charge of managing the boats on the river. You see, you can figure it out yourself, but you still have to ask me. I only know a few dozen copper coins every second. How can I have the time?" Zhang Xiaobao looked forward to the arrival of the heavy rain. He wanted to see how the boats on the river operated. In the past, when they encountered heavy rain on the waterway, there were not as many boats as there were now. It was war, and the consumption was high. The demand for goods was also high, which promoted water transportation. When Wang Wan saw Zhang Xiaobao looking at the sky, she also looked at it. She said to Zhang Xiaobao, "For the next month, I need to be quiet at night. Think about things carefully. It's best if you can do it yourself. Is there a difference between doing it myself and doing it with you? Isn't sleeping the same?" "Yes, it's sleeping. What do you think?" "I think there's a way to offset the increased manpower cost. The boats passing by don't need to pay any fees to get this part of the money." Zhang Xiaobao chose to compromise. It was like a fishing boat colliding with a cargo ship. One side had to give in. Otherwise, it would be very dangerous. After saying that, Zhang Xiaobao advised, "This kind of method between husband and wife can't be used too often. It will hurt the relationship. Needs. Even if you're feeling a little uncomfortable, you have to make the other party feel comfortable, right? So that's how it is? Then who made me feel uncomfortable when I asked the question just now?" Wang Wan asked. "The way to earn back the manpower cost without charging fees is to equip the boats with things, such as loudspeakers and headlights. After all, it's easy to get foggy weather. We haven't developed lights that can shine very far in foggy weather, but it's better to wait than nothing." "Look, it's going to rain now, isn't it?" Zhang Xiaobao pointed at the dark clouds in the sky. Chapter 1294. The heavy rain fell. Looking up at the sky, it was densely packed black spots. There was no white reflection of the water at all. When it hit the water, bubbles appeared and disappeared one after another. There was a mist on the deck. In addition to the sound of thunder and lightning, there was also the sound of raindrops hitting the deck. The thicker parts of the deck were splashing. The sails on the ship had already been lowered. They didn't dare to continue raising them. The windows were closed. Even so, a lot of rain gathered in the middle and low areas of the ship. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan put on their raincoats and scanned the river with binoculars to see what the other boats were doing. The boats on the river came to the shore one after another, and then they took out a stake from who knows where and hammered it into the soil on the shore. They tied a rope to hold the boat in place, and then they set up a shelter on the shore and hid inside. It's actually here. Not a single boat is damaged. All the boats have found their positions. Zhang Xiaobao looked for a while and found that there was no danger on the river, so he said, "They are not stupid. You know it's going to rain, and they know it too. Besides, the locals live here. How can they put themselves in a dangerous situation? Look, there are two big boats in front. They are ready to organize a rescue." While Wang Wan was talking, the two boats that came against the current stuck together and made a collision sound. It was very clear in the heavy rain. She quickly arranged for the people on the boat to prepare for a rescue. Normally, in the current situation, there was no rescue. Everyone was protecting themselves. Even if they saw the boat capsize, they could only stare and hope that the people survived. That was because the rescue equipment was different. The boat on their side had rubber boats and inflatable life jackets. If they fell into the river, they didn't have to worry about sinking. The people in charge of the rescue were proficient in swimming and could save the lives of the people who fell into the water to a large extent. Zhang Xiaobao was also anxious, but when he looked at the situation again, he said, "There's no need for rescue. They deliberately hit each other. Look at what they are doing." Wang Wan shook off the water on the binoculars and looked again. She knew that when the two ships collided, something was put on the side of the ship to reduce the force. She didn't know what was in the sack. The sound was very loud, but the two ships were not damaged. Ropes were now being thrown to one another, one to my boat, and the other to yours, and planks were nailed to each side of the deck. This is a pirate's method of seizing a ship. Do they want to combine the two ships together to fight against the wind and rain? It's because... I get it. They're afraid that if the rain gets heavier, the water from upstream will become heavier, forcing them to change the direction of the boat. That would be the most dangerous situation. Now that they have a boat to lean against, they have strong endurance and are smart. Wang Wan looked at the layout of the ship and praised. People were all forced. In fact, they could have known in advance that it was going to rain and then avoided it first. For example, they could have found a safe place to stop and anchored. However, they couldn't be sure when the rain would fall. In order to save time, they forced their way forward. When they made this choice, they probably discussed it with the other ships. When the time came, the two ships would lean against each other instead of colliding. There was no need to worry about a few small holes nailed on the deck. They could be covered with glue or stuffed with something. When the wind and rain passed, they could remove the holes and continue to move forward. They could save 2 hours of time, and they could deliver the items 2 hours earlier. If the wind was strong enough to blow away the clouds, that would be even better. It was better than waiting for the wind to blow away the clouds. You see, they are not stupid. Your auxiliary tools are not easy to sell. When the fog comes, other people will also find a way to solve it. Who said that? The smarter they are, the more convenient the tools they will choose. If you don't believe me, let's make a bet. Let's see if they will buy it when the time comes. Zhang Xiaobao said, unconvinced. The ships on the river had basically stopped, not because they were afraid of the rain, but because they were afraid of hitting other ships. Only the steam engine ships were still moving forward. They didn't care about whether it was raining or not. They didn't need to find a mover when they were going against the current, and they didn't need to raise their sails. They were very confident in facing this kind of simple rain. Zhang Xiaobao's team was even more so. The difference was that the ship had sails to reduce the speed. At this time, when the sails landed, the sound of machinery could be heard. They sped up and went through this relatively narrow area. Seeing that there was no problem on the river, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan turned back to the cabin and leaned on the deck chairs to rest. It was the most comfortable time to sleep now. Xiao Bei and the others just took a shower and crawled into bed to sleep. Their entire bodies were relaxed, and they quickly fell asleep. I don't know if the rain is heavy on the battlefield. I can't see how large the area of the rain clouds are. It's really uncomfortable without a satellite image. Zhang Xiaobao pulled over a blanket and covered himself with it. He swayed back and forth gently, worrying about the people on the battlefield. Wang Wan, who was beside him, had a calm expression. When she heard Zhang Xiaobao's words, she said, "The heavier the rain, the better. If it continues to rain for a few days, we will get a large number of horses. When the ground is muddy, the horses won't be able to run. Our people will snipe a few people and shout loudly that they will not be killed if they surrender." They will surrender. Zhang Xiaobao agreed. That's true. The Arabian horses have always been very useful. We can't slow down the development of our country for the sake of war. That's why we have no choice but to turn some of the military horses into commercial horses. When the domestic economy develops, we can make more off-road vehicles to replace horses. What kind of off-road vehicle? 4-wheel drive? Wang Wan asked. Won't a three-wheeled tractor work? It's a vehicle with a lot of combat power. The diesel engine is powerful, the wheels are bigger, and the chassis of the vehicle is high. Other than the places where the body of the vehicle can't pass, it's generally better than horses. Zhang Xiaobao imagined the scene when the tractor army was deployed. If it was on the plains, its power would be great. With a little rain, it would be more convenient to chase the enemy. As long as it wasn't too muddy, the tractor could easily rush over. The two of them were chatting idly when there was a knock on the door. Then, a person came in and said to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, "The Meteor Battle Squad just sent a telegram. They have arrived in our country's territory and are speeding up their march. They will arrive at the injured village in 2.5 days. They are asking if there are any arrangements." Zhang Xiaobao sat up straight with a happy expression on his face. After thinking for a while, he said, "There are no arrangements for them. Let them do what they want. However, we have to send a telegram. In 3 days, report this matter in the official newspaper of the Great Tang. Don't use the real names of the women and their families. Just say that the matter is over." The person received the order and left. Zhang Xiaobao let out a sigh of relief and lay back down. He turned his head to look at Wang Wan and said, "It's good that they are back. Give our women an explanation. Let them kill the people who bullied them with their own hands. Let them live a good life in the future. Aren't you worried that after they get their revenge, they will let go of the last bit of hope in their hearts and then die?" Wang Wan asked. "It's possible. Someone, send a telegram. Tell them that when they see the 2 women in the village, tell them to help them capture the people. The imperial court will spend a lot of money. Tell them to cherish it and do more things for the Great Tang. If they die, the Great Tang won't be able to pay for it. If they still want to die, tell them that their lives can't be sacrificed in vain. Join the army, train, and become a field medic. When they die, that's when it will end." Zhang Xiaobao shouted twice toward the door. He simply stopped lying down and sat up to make tea and eat melon seeds. This was a good pastime on a rainy day. Wang Wan also sat up and drank with him. After a while, she ate the melon seeds Zhang Xiaobao handed over and said, "It's really a hard life. I'm worried that the people in the village will look down on them and that their men won't want them." "Dare, why won't they? When they need men, where are they? The ones who should really commit suicide are the men in their village. Don't worry. Send the heads over, send the people over alive. When the time comes, their men will probably be proud of it. The most important thing should be the provincial governor who was captured before. He still wants to suppress him. When a person with such thoughts is in charge of a place, he will definitely hope that the people will be obedient and not cause him trouble. Thus, the people will become cowards. When a soldier is weak, the general will be weak." Zhang Xiaobao analyzed and said. He hated the provincial governor who was escorted to the capital the most. He was afraid of causing trouble, so he bullied the people under his rule. Wang Wan also hated him. How could he turn the people into sheep? She said to Zhang Xiaobao, "Fortunately, something happened and exposed him. Otherwise, after a long time, the local people will lose their courage one by one. In the future they will be useless. Others will learn from him. When a people loses their courage, it's scary. There should be democratic elections. The people will vote for themselves. The elected people will naturally be responsible for the people who voted for them. The benefits of democracy are reflected. We should learn from the United States. Learn from them. We also have democracy. In the past, the emperors were supported by the people and became the leaders of the big tribes. Later, didn't they change little by little? Why is the United States democratic? That's because the United States doesn't have its own national spirit. Spirit needs time to settle. A country with a history of hundreds of years can't learn our national spirit even if they want to. They were all colonized in various places, and some were sold as slaves. When they get together, how can they not want democracy? Zhang Xiaobao liked to destroy other people's prestige and boost his own morale. Wang Wan didn't say anything. For a moment, The room was quiet. Only the sound of Zhang Xiaobao drinking tea and the sound of him peeling sunflower seeds for Wang Wan could be heard. The rain was still falling, and there was no sign of it slowing down. The boat swayed with the rise and fall of the water, making people sleepy. When Zhang Xiaobao drank the tea until it was tasteless, Wang Wan finally spoke. Xiaobao, what you just said makes sense. Compared to countries with many years of history, the United States does lack a national spirit deep in the soul. But their technology is good, and they use force to protect their own people. They work hard to cultivate their own national spirit. I think in a few hundred years, it will be about the same. Yes, but they are very bad. They can't bear to see others have this kind of thing, so they want all countries to be as democratic as them. Especially the small countries, they have been bullied by them again and again. In the Arab region, they don't want to be united the most, so they always use various means to attack and destroy the spirit of Islam. Zhang Xiaobao said with a look of, I'm not angry, I don't care. Chapter 1295. Wang Wan thought about what Zhang Xiaobao said. She thought about it, and it was true. The United States had been attacking the cohesion of other nations with a long history. They were trying to achieve their goals, and they were unscrupulous. Every time, they sent troops under the guise of human rights and democracy. Then, they helped the anti-government forces they supported win and establish a democratic regime that listened to them. When they were done, they did not care anymore. When they did not support them, when they did not have democracy, they were actually doing well. They had their own national traditions and moral constraints. When their goals were achieved, the country did not have a good life at all. Instead, it was even more chaotic. Even the nation's outlook on life, values, and worldview had been lost. Every day was a mess, and there would be explosions from time to time. It made people live in fear. Was this democracy? This was not. The result of democracy should be a stable, cohesive society and country, not a so-called election. If they really wanted to talk about human rights, why not talk about India? That was still a caste system. They should have sent troops to help liberate them. Wasn't it because they were obedient? They destroyed one by one. In order to achieve their goals, they used all kinds of tricks to support all kinds of splits. We don't want that kind of democracy. We want to be like Sanshui County, where the people really participate and support it. There is no need to advertise and solicit votes. The people are not stupid. Who is good and who is bad is not what they say. Let them play with American democracy. Wang Wan decided not to follow the path of social development. It was not worth it for her descendants to do more harm than good. Zhang Xiaobao handed Wang Wan a handful of sunflower seeds and agreed. I think so too. I can't guess what will happen in the end. Will it be like England? Will the imperial power become a symbol? Japan too. Who cares? The people in the future will solve their own problems. Who can guarantee that the country will be stable? Sleep for a while. I won't eat. Wang Wan drank a sip of tea, lay down, covered herself with a blanket, and fell asleep. Zhang Xiaobao sat there in a daze for a while. He yawned and fell asleep as well. 2 days later, less than 3 days after Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan received the telegram, the meteor squad arrived at the village where the girl was being bullied. There were wooden houses and bamboo houses in the village. The road was very difficult to walk on. It was only a road that was less than 4 meters wide, and it was full of potholes. There was no school here. A few naked children were playing a game of tag, screaming from time to time. When they saw a lot of people appear on the wooden bridge at the entrance of the village, they shouted again and ran towards the village, which could be said to be the home of the chief of the tribe. The first impression the Meteor Battle Squad had when they saw the village was that it was poor and backward. In other words, it was open. This was because they saw a man and a woman rolling around naked on a hillside in the distance through their binoculars. That was definitely not a normal job. Just like what he had learned before, the men and women in the village didn't care who they had sex with. When they were happy, 1 man and 2 women, or even 1 woman and 2 men were fine. Normally, under such circumstances, the woman wouldn't lose anything if she was bullied. However, in reality, it was the people in the village who could do whatever they wanted. If outsiders bullied them, they couldn't. Therefore, the woman didn't want to live and wanted to die. As for them, as members of the Meteor Battle Squad, they had to take action and protect any member of the country. It was the same as their own children. They could hit them and give them a few slaps when they had nothing to do. Once an outsider came to slap their own children, they would definitely not slap them back. Therefore, the Meteor Battle Squad members retracted their gazes and no longer looked at the man and woman. Instead, they continued to cross the bridge and walk forward. They wanted to give the other party an explanation. The other party had already said that they would pay the rent. At the beginning, when they were collecting rent, this was how they advertised it. As long as you acknowledged that you were a citizen of Tang Empire and had taken responsibility, then Tang Empire had the same obligation to help you. Over 1,000 people couldn't all enter the village. Some found an empty space to rest. A total of 150 people entered, each of them carrying a bag. There were also quite a number of people being escorted, 520 of them. These were all people who had participated in the bullying of women and were watching from the side. The leader was called Luo Mo Hadwa. He was the leader of the envoys from Tang Empire. He had nothing better to do and just had to pass by this village on his way back to his country to look for women to play with. In the end, he encountered a problem. Luo Mo and Hadwa were also thinking the same thing. He was filled with regret and hatred for those who had come to Great Tang. If not for the fact that that person had told him that once he reached Great Tang, as long as he was respectful to the Emperor of Great Tang, he would be able to get whatever he wanted. More than a decade ago, that person had come and was received by the Emperor of Tang Empire. He was even rewarded with a lot of good wine. When he slept at night, he was accompanied by women. He could do whatever he wanted. Therefore, Luo Mo Hadwa thought that he could enjoy himself. In the end, after he came, the Emperor of Tang Empire indeed rewarded him with many things. However, he didn't give any women. It wasn't that there weren't any. Instead, there were women who brought him wine and food but didn't let him touch them. He tried to flirt with them but was reprimanded by the Tang officials who received him. He had been suppressing this anger in his heart. When he passed by this village on his way back, he saw 2 women hammering their clothes by the river. They looked all right and had good figures. Thus, he relaxed a little. He relaxed with those who were on good terms with him. The 2 women didn't have anything to do and could even stand up and walk. He didn't need to worry. After all, he was an envoy and had a high status. But who would have thought that things would be even more different from what he had imagined? When he returned to his own country, he was hunted down. First, many people from a tribe were killed. Some of the tribesmen who were lucky enough not to be killed found him, who was resting in another tribe, and told him that the Great Tang had come because of the 2 women. He ran and told the tribesmen who had received him to help stop them. Soon after, another tribesman came to report that the tribesmen were killed as well. Just like that, he ran all the way to the capital and presented the remaining items that the Emperor of Tang Empire had given him. He also said that his trip was smooth and that there was only a small problem. Back then, the Emperor said that he would help him. However, he didn't expect that when the Tang people came, he would be captured without even meeting the Emperor. Now that he was here, what should he do? Luo Mo Hadwa's eyes kept turning. He didn't want to die and hoped that there was a chance for him to survive. I can give you money. My family has money. This was the 3rd time Luo Mo Hadwa brought up the matter of money. The previous 2 times, he was beaten up. Now, he had no choice but to bring it up again. As long as there was a trace of hope, he could give the money. This time, the leader of the Meteor Battle Squad was a member of the border army. He had fought against the Tubo people and had killed many people. He had also been injured countless times. However, he had survived. He had only lost 2 fingers on his left hand and had scars all over his body. Due to his bravery and rich battle experience, he was recruited into the Meteor Battle Team. He was also trained to be in charge of this operation. His surname was Li, bestowed by the Emperor himself. He was called Li Ci. Now that he was listening to Luo Mo Hadwa's words, he didn't hit him anymore. Instead, the corners of his mouth curled up, revealing a meaningful smile. Seeing him smile, Luo Mo Hadwa thought that his chance had come. He smiled as well. Hee, my family has a lot of money and jewels. I have 20 young and beautiful women at home. If you let me go, all of them will be yours. You are their leader. Just say the word. Li Ci was still smiling, but he didn't say anything. There was no need to talk to a person who was about to die. As for saying the words to let him go, as long as he said it, he would immediately lose his position as the leader and be killed by others. How would Luo Mo Hadwa know about this? He was still talking non-stop. The more he talked, the more afraid he became. In the end, he had already wet his pants. This was because all the men and women in the village had come out to welcome them. It's you? A young man saw Luo Mo Hadwa, who was tied up and beaten up. He immediately recognized him and said while gritting his teeth, "No, it's not me. Spare me." Luo Mo Hadwa's pants became even more wet. Not only did he wet himself, but there was also something coming out from another place. A foul smell spread out. Someone shouted. The others also recognized who the group of people who were tied up were. They were the Zhanla people who bullied them with their numbers. But no matter what, they didn't expect that they would be tied up and brought here. The village chief, who was also the leader of the tribe, stopped the people who were about to make a move. When he saw the Tang Dynasty soldiers wearing camouflage clothes standing beside Luo Mo Hadwa, he instantly understood. He took a few steps forward and said to Li Ci, "I am the village chief of Zhongwang village. Zhang Dai, you are." In fact, his surname wasn't actually Zhang. His name was similar to Luo Mo Hadwa. Later on, when the people from the Zhongwang and Wang families came to advertise that they were going to pay the rent, they treated a few people's illnesses. At the same time, they also advertised some things. Thus, they all changed their names and the village became Zhongwang village. Li Ci saluted and said in a sonorous voice, "Li Ci belongs to the Tang Dynasty's meteor squad. We are in charge of rescues, assassinations, and revenge. When we received the news, we went to Zhanla and brought the people back from Wang City. On the way, there were people who tried to stop us. We chopped off a total of 710 heads. Please check and accept them." After Li Ci finished speaking, he waved his hand. The person carrying the bag put down the bag and shook it. Heads rolled out from the bag one after another. They were all mixed with salt and lime. When the people in the village saw so many heads, they were so scared that they took a few steps back. Some of the children were so scared that they cried. The adults trembled and comforted the children. "Stopped?" the village chief asked. "Yes," Cuckoo gave the order. "Anyone who tried to stop us, kill. Anyone who reported, kill. Anyone who interfered, kill. Anyone who protested, kill. As for those who were alive, you can deal with them. If you don't do anything, we will kill them." Li Ci's tone was emotionless. Everyone in the village was listening. For a moment, the scene was very quiet. After a while, a woman suddenly knelt on the ground and cried, "The heavens have eyes. Long live the emperor." When she shouted, the other villagers followed suit and knelt down. Some of them shouted with a different tone. Luo Mo Hadwa's eyes rolled back and he fainted. Chapter 1296. The villagers of Zhongwang village, or rather, the people of the small tribe, did not have a sense of belonging to Tang before they changed their names. They just farmed and weaved like the Tang people. In some aspects, their living habits were similar. They admitted that they were Tang people mainly because there were troops stationed nearby. When they walked out of the mountains, they were not far from the city. Later, someone came over and told them to pay rent. They said that all Tang people had to pay rent according to their birthplace. At that time, they did not have a birthplace and did not register at all. They were like the mountain people of Luzhou. Later, When they brought things to the city to exchange for daily necessities, they found that people of their birthplace could be treated in the city for free. When they came back, they discussed with the chief, who was also the village chief, Zhang Dai. They felt that there were more benefits to being registered than not, so they went to the city one after another, chose their names, filled them in, took a certificate, and began to pay rent. At the same time they could eat cheap salt. Yes, salt was 3 times more expensive when they were not registered. After all, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were not good people. They were only good to their own people. If they did not recognize them, they would not take care of them. The people in the village had just paid a year's rent when something happened. Zhang Dai, the village chief, remembered what the officials said when he was registered. After becoming a citizen of Tang, he could seek the support of the officials if he was bullied. Zhang Dai felt that his village was being bullied this time, so he went to the city to find the officials. In the end, after he reported it, the local officials persuaded him to pretend that nothing had happened. How could he do that? Under the guidance of others, he went to the place in the city where the telegram was sent. The local officials wanted to stop him, but they did not dare. Zhang Dai saw it and felt a little better. He told them what had happened and angrily questioned them. His village was paying rent, but now they were being bullied. What should they do? A few days later, someone came to the village and told him that the imperial court had sent people to help them. They were asked to wait and take care of the bullied woman. He did not know what to feel. He was looking forward to it, but he also felt that the imperial court was deceiving him. He could not think of a better way, so he could only wait. Who would have thought that today, 710 heads and 520 people who were tied up would come? At this moment, he wanted to cry out loud and cry out all the grievances he had suffered. Zhang Dai held back his tears as he listened to the people in his village shouting and venting. He looked at Li Si and the people standing beside him. It was these people who were like parents whose children were bullied outside. They angrily rushed out to help their children vent their anger and taught the bullies a lesson. He belonged to the meteor squad. He was a person who specialized in such matters in the Great Tang. The person who came to persuade him was really a man of his word. The rent was not paid in vain. He was a citizen of the Great Tang. In the future, he would listen to whatever the Great Tang authorities said. Zhang Dai made up his mind and shouted at the people who were still crying, "Everyone, get up. Don't cry, laugh. Look at these people who used to bully us. Don't they look like a pile of dogs *T now? In the future, you have to work hard and listen to the country. Now, Li Si I will let you kill them." Cuckoo said that if you want to capture them, they must be alive. You have to kill them personally to vent your anger. Li Si said expressionlessly. Zhang Dai was touched. It was much harder to capture a person alive than a head, but kill all of them? Kill all of them? Where did you bring them back? Zhang Dai was a little afraid. It was easy to kill one person, and it was not difficult to kill 2 people. But to kill all of them in front of him, his hands would go numb. He had never killed anyone before. Li Si nodded. "Yes, we will not leave a single one alive. We brought them back from their imperial city." "So far?" Zhang Dai was shocked. It doesn't matter if it was far or not. When we caught up with them, they were in the imperial city, so we brought them back from the imperial city. If they ran further, we would have chased them further. If not for Cuckoo's order to capture them alive, we would have killed them directly. Cuckoo said that anyone who offends anyone from the Great Tang Empire will be hunted down endlessly. We will not rest until they are dead, even if they run to the ends of the world. Li Si still had that indifferent look on his face, but the words he said made the people listening unable to calm down. Then, Li Si considered the actual situation and suggested very humanely, "If it is tiring for you to kill them, you can follow us to the execution ground in the imperial city. You can choose a few to kill and have fun. The rest will be left to us. It is a good opportunity to show the other people of the Great Tang Empire and establish our might." Zhang Dai was extremely grateful. He first went to Kik Luoma and Hadwa. Then he picked a few people and said to Li Si, "We will kill them. You guys can kill the rest. We should let people see it with their own eyes. Only then will they believe that our Tang Empire is really protecting all of us. Then, the two of them discussed, and Zhang Dai dragged the few people they wanted to kill to the riverside. They found a place that was not usually used for fetching water and washing clothes. Then, they called the bullied girl and her man and personally killed them with a knife. After killing them, they would bring the rest of the people alive and their heads back to the Imperial City with the Meteor Battle Squad. It didn't feel like killing people, but more like discussing how to slaughter animals. Li Si's indifferent expression not only didn't make the others feel bad, but it also made them feel very relieved. They needed to protect the people they wanted to protect. The news was once again passed to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. The two of them were sunbathing under the umbrella and looking at the big news. The two of them looked at each other and smiled. They didn't feel that there was anything bad about killing more than 1,200 people. We should publicize it and let the people of the Great Tang know about this operation. At the same time, we should let the spies of other countries know about it. This way, they will have to think twice before provoking the people of the Great Tang Empire. Zhang Xiaobao was very satisfied with the Meteor Battle Squad's first operation. Not only did they not have any casualties, but they also handled the matter cleanly, showing the prestige of a strong country. Wang Wan felt the same and said, "That's right." Although there were people in Zhen La's team who didn't participate, since they were in that team, they didn't stop their people when they made a mistake. Not stopping them is conniving and acquiescing. Why is it that the people of Israel are less bullied outside? Even the people of the Arab countries, who know that the Jews can't live under the same sky as them, don't dare to bully the people of Israel when they are on their land. That's because Israel's revenge is fierce. Why is it that when something happens to the Americans in other countries are like facing a great enemy? That's because they are afraid of the strength of the United States. A country doesn't care about its size, but the will of the ruler. This time, it is the manifestation of our will. After Wang Wan finished speaking, she felt very happy. Whether it was the green hills by the shore or the birds flying in the sky, they were all so lively. It was easy to make the people lose their blood, but when the people lose their blood met foreign enemies, the ruler would be in trouble. This time, after killing once, there will be a long period of stability. When people from other countries or their own people go to other countries, they will be very respectful to the people of the Great Tang Empire and will protect them. Because if you don't protect them, when something happens and you are at the side and did not stop it, then the Great Tang Empire will label you as a participant. When the time comes for revenge, you will not be able to escape. We can send more people to the nearby islands. It's not a problem to let them stay on the islands for 2 more years. Let them bring their families and take it as a short-term migration. Let them mine and sell there and live there. We will provide military support, but they cannot stay for too long. In the process of helping the Great Tang Empire to plunder foreign countries, they will accumulate a lot of wealth. Normally, they will not be willing to come back at that time. They will want to stay and earn more money. That must not be allowed. What if they are bold enough to declare independence? We can let them go now because they have seen the power of the Great Tang Empire's revenge. Even if they do not dare to go to a new place, they will think of establishing a new country. Zhang Xiaobao suddenly thought of the nearby islands. Some of them were uninhabited, but they could be used as temporary accommodation. It was convenient for people to go to the nearby seas to obtain resources. There were also people on the islands, the local aboriginals, and people who ran to the islands due to the chaos of war and other factors before the Great Tang Empire. These people were not easy to identify. It was not that they were one of the Great Tang Empire's people, but they had to admit it themselves. Ever since the Qin Dynasty, there had been immigrants, and even now, many people of the past would only remember their own era. Moreover, they taught their descendants this way, passing it down from generation to generation. When they met the people of the Great Tang and the Great Tang said that they were from the Great Tang, they would not accept it. But after showing the strength of the Great Tang, they would acknowledge it. Not only was the Great Tang strong, but it was also related to the production of goods. As long as they saw a better future, there was no need to use force. They would naturally feel that they were from the Great Tang Empire. After all, They were from the same land. Wang Wan yawned comfortably and said, "Are we waiting for the transportation and information exchange to reach a certain level before we can let people migrate? For example, there will be wireless phones and airplanes." "There is no need. As long as the coastal areas are developed and the transportation is better, we can send troops to protect them and not let them have their own weapons. This way, we can colonize a large number of people. The first thing we need to solve is the coastal areas. We cannot let it be like now, where there are still many small fishing villages." Zhang Xiaobao also chose to push for the coastal areas to develop. It was not that he did not want to push to the northwest. It was because the transportation and living conditions were too bad. Even if they were to occupy a large portion of the cannibalistic land, not many people would be willing to live there for a long time. But it was different for the islands. When the coastal areas were developed, many people would choose to live on the islands. When they were sick of living there, they would come back to live there for a while. It was convenient for them to travel and get supplies. Wang Wan listened to Zhang Xiaobao and suddenly thought of something interesting. She laughed and said to Zhang Xiaobao, "Do you think if we send them to Africa and tell them that they can be independent and choose their own emperor, will they cry?" Haha. Zhang Xiaobao also laughed. The living conditions there were too bad. People like him would cry if he went there. If the great Tang did not send ships, he would not be able to come back. He was used to living a good life, and now, he suddenly realized that he did not have any supplies. If the diesel engine can be improved, it can provide more power for the large ships. Maybe we can send a group of brave people to the Straits of Malacca first. It will be the same for the other places along the way. The merchants now do not even live on land. They trade with the locals and live on the ships. Why don't we wait until the war here is stabilized and we are not in a hurry to end it? Then we can go out for a walk. The merchants are too irresponsible. Zhang Xiaobao suggested. He felt that it was not a bad idea to treat it as a vacation. When there was no danger, he could bring his younger siblings and family out for a walk. Or he could form a tour group and share the expenses with others. When he returned, he could bring back some local specialties and still make some money. Even if there was a good exchange, there was no need to start a war with the locals. Everyone would get what they need. That means that he should not be too harsh on the locals. Wang Wan's eyes brightened up. She raised her hand to show that she agreed. If they did not go to Africa and America, they would only need a few months to return. It was much better than looking at the animals in the zoo. She also knew that Xiao Bao was saying that the merchants were irresponsible because the merchants did not go to Africa personally and did not bring back many animals and plants. Those few lions that survived the trip were captured by the armed men when they went to Africa. This had nothing to do with the merchants. The merchants would rather earn less than to die in the wild. However, they could not specifically equip the merchants with advanced weapons. They could only send people to protect them. However, if she and Xiao Bao went out, they would have weapons. The ships would be bigger, and the fleet would be bigger. Based on the experience of the people who came and went before, they would not be in too much danger if they walked close to the shore. Even Li Longji and the other members of the royal family would have the opportunity to go out for a walk. If they did not go out for a walk, they would be sullen as an emperor when they died. Wang Wan, who was tempted, immediately discussed this matter with Zhang Xiaobao. "We have to wait for at least a year. First, send people ashore and go deeper. We will follow the good medical team, the people from the agriculture temple and the Ministry of Works to understand the situation. Then, we will be able to go. We're traveling, not exploring." "I think that's fine." Zhang Xiaobao agreed. The two of them imagined the scene when they arrived and lay down to sleep. The fleet continued to move forward, switching rivers back and forth. After more than half a month, they finally arrived at Jianqi Lake, which was where Kuan Province was located. It was Kunming where Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were at. They stopped here and waited for the Zhenla people to make a move. If they sent a letter of apology, then they would turn west and personally lead the troops to participate in the war for a period of time. If the Zhenla troops gathered, then they would go down and deal with the Zhenla troops. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were calculating the harvest time for the carnivorous people. It was almost time for another round of attacks. Xiao Bei and the others also began to adapt to the local climate and find their own fun. For example, they would play with the children here and find a few people to deal with. However, they did not have much hope for the latter. They believed that the officials had learned to be smart. "Why don't we take the initiative to cause some trouble?" Xiao Bei suggested. "Sure." Xiao Yuan followed suit. "Let's go and check the place," Xiao Bei said with a serious look. Chapter 1297. Xiao Bei and the others had a good idea. They couldn't wait to serve the people. They had to take the initiative. Since they had just arrived in Kuan province and didn't have any contact with the locals, they set up camp next to Jianqi Lake. When the 9 of them walked out under the protection of the guards, they heard from the inner courtyard that if they walked southeast along Jianqi Lake, they would see people after walking for about 10 miles. When Xiao Bei and the others heard that, they first observed the terrain. 10 miles didn't sound far and could be reached in an instant if they rode a horse. However, it depended on where they were. They were now next to Jianqi Lake and in the mountains. Was there a road? Yes, there was a road that people or animals could vaguely walk on. The weather was good and the vegetation was lush. The grass on this road was a little different from the grass on the other side. It was relatively sparse, but it was definitely not suitable for riding a horse. The 9 of them estimated that it would take about an hour to reach the place. What if they ran? It wouldn't take more than 3 minutes, but it was easy to fall. "Are there many people at the place we're going?" Xiao Bei asked. It wasn't worth it to spend a lot of time and end up meeting dozens of people. The inner courtyard seemed to know a lot about this place before they came. He immediately replied, "The one we're going to is a tribe. The chief's surname is Quan. Of course, everyone in the tribe has the surname Quan." "Are there any other surnames around?" Xiao Bei asked again. "Yes, and some people have the surname Meng. If we go there, the language communication won't be very smooth. We need to translate. The most important thing is that their etiquette is different from ours." "Oh, you don't understand? What else is there?" Xiao Bei didn't know anything about this place. "Further west is the 6 Zhao." "What? So close? No wonder they're not heading west anymore. What if Big Brother and Big Sister remember how they were in Japan and how the cannibals harmed us? They might not be able to hold themselves back and destroy them first." "Then, is it safe here now?" Xiao Bei had always heard about the 6 Zhao, but he never thought that he would be so close one day. He faintly felt that the situation was different from what he imagined. Perhaps the locals wouldn't treat him like the people in Ezhou. A gentle smile appeared on the inner yard's face as he said, "Everywhere is safe. As long as you want to go, you will be safe. If someone dares to make you feel unsafe, we will make them feel unsafe." "Oh, I believe you. What I mean is, if you don't protect me, will we be safe?" Lil Bei was depressed. They were here to investigate the people's lives, but they were here to start a war. These were two different things. "They won't hurt you. They have a good impression of you and belong to a farming tribe. The Meng tribe is a livestock tribe. If you go to the Meng tribe, it will be less safe. However, I believe that if they don't want to be exterminated, they will know how to treat you." Previously, the people with the surname Meng were the rulers of this generation, so the surname Quan was naturally the ruled. Farming people normally preferred peace and fought with nature because they could obtain more food. Horseback people were more aggressive and did not build. Instead, they followed the laws of nature to plunder. Therefore, I suggest that we go to the Quan tribe. It will be more convenient for us to communicate. Even if you write, other people will recognize you and share many of the same habits as us. The inner yard's introduction was also a kind of knowledge instilling. It was not enough to just stay by their side. When the little guys had questions, they had to explain it. Lil Bei and the others listened very carefully. They cherished the words of the inner yard in their daily lives. It seemed that every sentence was very simple and contained countless meanings. There was no other family in the Great Tang. It means that the people with the surname Quan are bullied, right? How pitiful. Lil Bei began to feel sad for others. The inner yard replied, "It used to be so, but not now." Since the Great Tang began to support the surname Quan many years ago and pushed King Quan Gui to the position of the vassal king, the people with the surname Quan were no longer bullied. Now, no one dares to bully them because the local government is formed by them. The other purpose of the young master and young lady's visit this time is to build a few projects. One is a dam, and the other is an artificial river. Otherwise, the local area will always be flooded. Almost every year, there will be a situation where the inflow of Dianchi Lake is greater than the outflow. As a result, the water overflows and washes away the fields and houses of the people with the surname Quan. Another purpose is to leave 200 people behind to add to the local government and not let the people with the surname Quan continue to rule. Now, there is no need to control one with another. After hearing this, Lil Bei and the others began to walk in the direction of the inner yard. As they walked, they thought and discussed with each other. After a while, Lil Bei looked at the scenery of Dianchi Lake and said, "We understand. We really can't give them too much power. In the past, they were bullied. Now that they have power, they will definitely want to bully back. It's okay to bully them before, but they are a tribe that raises livestock and are good at fighting. If they can't beat them, they will be beaten by them. Then, the Great Tang will send troops. After the war is over, the people who died can't come back to life. How sad will that be?" Moreover, the people with the surname Meng are also part of the Great Tang and know how to raise livestock. Isn't it better for the two sides to unite? Each takes what he needs. Brother and sister arranged for people to stay behind to be officials. The purpose is to combine the two surnames into one. The effect will be greater than the two. Also, we don't believe that King Quan Gui is better than our people in all aspects. The people we left behind will quickly figure out the situation of the local resources and use them to help the locals develop as quickly as possible. Because brother and sister will continue to send troops to the west, the local area will become the rear very close to the front line, right? The inner yard squatted down and kissed Lil Bei on the face. He praised, "Our Lil Bei is so amazing. We all thought about it together. The little bit of achievement we have is also because of your constant tutoring, the love of our brothers and sisters, the expectations of our parents, and the protection of our guards. That's how we can learn and achieve it." What about the 6 Zhao? They are closer to the front line in the future. Lil Bei was modest and treated it as her diplomatic practice. Suddenly, she thought of the 6 Zhao. Back then, her brother and sister had left a lot of ways to retreat for the 6 Zhao. They said that they would first fight Duoshi, then deal with Xinluo and Japan. Finally, they would target the 6 Zhao. Moreover, the early strategy was to help plunder. It could be said that they were being kind. The help plunder could be changed at any time. If the 6 Zhao saw the results of others and came to their senses, then the real follow-up method would be to cooperate with the early method to help. If they were still stubborn, the follow-up method would be another one that could immediately put the 6 Zhao into eternal damnation. It depends on Zhen La's actions. If they fight, they will be destroyed. If they fight, they will pass. 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 If they fight, they will meet the leader of the 6 Zhao and give him a warning. At the same time, we will let the caravan follow. We will enter India from the north of the Piao country and seek an opportunity there. After that, no matter what choice we make, we will have to take a boat home before next summer. The inner yard explained their strategic intentions. Right now, they still couldn't make perfect arrangements for this elite force on their side, because there was no certainty in war. Because they did not understand the local situation, Lil Bei went back to discuss with the others as they walked. When they could see smoke rising in front of them from afar, Lil Bei and the others also discussed. "We just thought about it and felt that it was not cost-effective to transport supplies through this route. The journey is long and the terrain is complicated. We should transport from Ezhou and the further north." Lil Bei said to the inner yard. The inner yard smiled and did not say anything. Another one spoke. Yes, it is long and the consumption is high. But if we transport from here, we can pass through the 6 zhao. The things we transport are dried fish, canned food, salt, all kinds of cloth, medicine, and firearms. Lil Bei nodded as he listened. There are also musical instruments, drawing papers, brushes, cooking tools, and seasonings that are convenient to carry. Since they are for the army, there is no need to worry about the quality. So many good things were brazenly transported from the 6 zhao's territory. They are looking and they want to have it. Is this the last chance for them? More or less. The inner yard replied. Lil Bei exhaled. Well, when the things are transported in the Tang Empire, the people along the way will find a way to repair the road and provide some porridge, hot soup, tea, and small pickles. When it comes to the 6 zhao, if they want to live the same life as the people of the Tang Empire in the future, they don't need to follow suit, as long as they don't rob. Just like the small bridge in front of my home, Zhuangzi, good and evil are determined by the heart. One thought to heaven, one thought to hell. Not everyone has this opportunity. Not even Duosha, Japan, and Xinluo. With that, everyone continued on their way. What Lil Bei and the others couldn't figure out was why their brother and sister showed mercy. Wow, look, there's a big hairy head on the tree. It's so interesting. Why does it look so familiar? As they got closer and closer to the tribe in front, Danan and Xiao Nan shouted at the same time as if they had read each other's minds. Everyone looked at the tree and saw an oak tree in front of them. There was a furry ball at the height of a person. The inner yard went over to cut the thing and showed it to Lil Bei and Xiao Nan. Danan and Xiao Nan recognized it. No wonder it looked familiar. It was a monkey's head mushroom. They had eaten it before, but they didn't know that it grew on trees. How did it climb up? Xiao Yuan wondered. After thinking for a while, he said, "Why does it grow on the trunk? There are monkey's head mushrooms here? It's amazing. There are the most monkey's head mushrooms in this area. There are also other mushrooms. Due to the climate, there are more in the south, next to Zhenla. The 200 people left behind will help the locals grow these things." The young master and young lady said that they can be grown, unlike the red mushroom, which is the pine mushroom. It can't be fully cultivated manually, and the semi-artificial yield is not high. If the monkey's head mushroom is artificially cultivated, it's slightly worse than the wild ones. People who don't eat it often won't be able to taste it at all. It's an extra benefit for the locals. In the future, it will be sold at a high price. The inner yard continued to explain to the little guys. Lil Bei and the others had already begun to fantasize. In the future, the locals would grow many monkey's head mushrooms with the help of their families. They could sell them directly to the restaurants at home. When the cultivation technology was mature, ordinary people would be able to eat them if they wanted to. The locals produce monkey's head mushrooms. In that case, the tribe we're going to will definitely have some in stock, right? Lil Bei licked his lips and asked with a slanderous look. Yes. Occasionally, merchants will come to buy them. The price they give is quite fair. The people with the surname Quan will keep the good things they find and exchange them with the merchants. I've already brought gifts to exchange for their goods. You can taste the food. The inner yard said to Lil Bei. This was also another purpose of coming here. Lil Bei heard the key words in his words. Quite fair? Yes. When the local goods are sold, it's 1/3 of the normal price. When you exchange your goods with the local people, it's 3 times the normal price. When you exchange goods with the local people, it's 9 times the normal price. It's not considered bullying. In the past, it was even lower. You can't even imagine what a kilogram of salt can be exchanged for. It can be exchanged for all kinds of fungi. For example, 70 kilograms of dried mushrooms can be exchanged for 80 to 90 python gallbladders. It's 100-fold profit. 3 years ago, our caravan made a trip here. Since then, it's only 9 times the profit. Because the journey is long, this ratio is still acceptable. When we return, the profit is only about 3 times. That's called 300%. So this is what it means to be backward. If our caravan doesn't come, the local people will be even more upset. I reckon that many merchants who take this route will hate our family. Haha, we set the price once we come. When the local people see, it turns out that we sold too cheaply in the past. Is there no salt here? Do we have to ship it from somewhere else? Lil Bei immediately understood. He had been the bad guy once. Fortunately, he had left a profit margin of 3 times for others. The inner yard replied, "There is." The young master and young lady said that there is, and there's a lot of it. It's enough for the local people to eat. But the local people can't find it, and they don't have the means to deal with the salt mines. The people we've left behind will help to explore and mine. In the future, the merchants who come here won't be able to exchange for anything with salt. They'll have to transport other goods that the local people don't have. This will improve the quality of life of the local people. This time, we've brought a lot of salt. It's a half trade, half gift. We don't expect to make much profit. No wonder you said that it's safer for us to come here. Our efforts 3 years ago have paid off at this moment. Lil Bei knew where the inner yard's confidence came from. When the team arrived in front of the tribe, there were many people in the tribe. They were holding ordinary knives, bows and arrows, and spears made of pure bamboo. There were no iron spearheads. Clearly, the people in the tribe had already seen a large group of people coming. Without knowing whether they were friend or foe, they gathered together to intimidate and alert. Lil Bei looked at the bows and bamboo spears and shrank back. She couldn't estimate the range of the other party's long-range weapons. The group stopped. Someone ran over to negotiate. After some discussion, the people in the tribe threw their weapons to the ground. It looked like they were surrendering. Then, the people in the tribe put on their small faces. Some people ran back and sprinkled water on the ground. Normally, they didn't have such etiquette. They probably wanted to learn the behavior of the officials of the Great Tang when they traveled. But they didn't learn it completely because they didn't have yellow sand to pave the way. Lil Bei and the others were very satisfied with this. It didn't matter if they didn't learn it well, as long as they had the heart. They all knew that it was very difficult to get the approval of a minority. It wasn't that they were purposely estranged, but that it was mainly because of the knowledge they came into contact with. Many merchants wanted to take advantage of them, but when they found out, they would naturally be on guard. Before they could confirm whether you were trustworthy, they wouldn't interact with you too much. Otherwise, they would be deceived again. Rather than calling it estrangement, it was better to call it self-protection. At this time, 4 people stepped forward, one hand on the gun by their legs and the other on the firing mechanism of their revolvers. Don't be impulsive. Don't fire at 0, 03 or 05 seconds. You can judge the time. Lil Bei hurriedly gave the 4 people instructions. These 4 were the most formidable gunmen in the Great Tang, and they were specially assigned to protect them. They didn't even have a brother or sister. Lil Bei asked the inner yard, "I'll be going up to speak in a moment. How should I introduce myself?" "Zhong Xiaobei of Between the Clouds and the Water," the inner yard said. Chapter 1298. Wei Wei nodded, took a deep breath, and walked forward. Xiao Yuan and the other 8 immediately followed, and the 4 quick gunners also walked beside them. Their facial muscles were relaxed, and their eyelids were drooping. Their eyes didn't seem to be focused. This was the moment when he reacted the fastest. The Quan family already knew that it was the little master of Between the Clouds and the Water. They were very happy and even put on a welcoming posture. What they did not expect was that the 9 children actually dared to form a line and directly walk forward. Furthermore, there was no vigilance in their eyes, nor was there any fear. They appeared to be so calm. Standing in front of the crowd, Chief Quan Mo was instantly moved. This was a form of trust. How capable could a child be? There were only 4 people beside him, and all of them had their hands on the right side of their bodies. If they were to fight, they wouldn't even have the chance to pull out their other hand. What Quan Mo did not know was that if they really fought, the 4 of them could instantly take down 20 of them. As for the 9 little fellows who seemed to have no fighting power, as long as they were given less than 2 seconds, they would be able to complete the set of actions of taking out their guns, aiming, and shooting. They usually had to shoot dozens of bullets every day to practice. Of course, Xiao Bei and the others didn't come here specifically to guard against people. They wanted to have a sincere conversation. After interacting with each other for a long time, they would naturally become closer to each other. It would be easier for them to come here in the future. I am Zhang Xiaobei from between the clouds and the water. This is Wang Xiaoyuan from between the clouds and the water. This is... Xiaobei stood 5 steps away from Quan Moe and gave him a big smile. He blinked his long eyelashes and began to introduce the people on his side. Then he asked, "You're their leader, right?" "Oh, it's the chief, Quan Moe, right?" Xiao Bei's appearance and expression immediately conquered the people of this tribe. She was really too cute. She looked more exquisite than anything carved out of jade. For a moment, Quan Mo seemed very nervous. His tribe was also a large one, with more than 800 people. Among them, there were nearly 200 children under the age of 10. The main reason was that they had a higher chance of survival. Generally, if they wanted to give birth, they would go to the nearest Tang medical center. It would take them less than half a month to get there, so the proportion of children was large. There were so many children, but Quan Mo found that none of the children in the tribe could compare to the little one in front of him, especially the one who spoke. Just listening to her movements made him feel comfortable. How should I treat it? Just like the children in the tribe? Obviously not. Treat him like an adult? But the child was too young, not even 10 years old. After many years of learning and training, Xiao Bei began to show his worth. He was still smiling like a flower. He said to Quan Moe, "You can call me Xiao Bei. It's the same for them. There's no need to think about status. What status do I have? I'm just a little girl who's happy to see you guys. You have a lot of kids like me, and the 9 of us are very eager to be friends with them. Just treat us the same as you treat them. We came here to play and have no other purpose. But we are greedy. If you have something good to eat, you have to take it out." Xiao Bei's words made the people of the Quan family relax. They increasingly felt that this group of children was good. But as the chief, Quan Mo was frightened. He was more knowledgeable than the others in the tribe. How could a child smile so naturally in the face of a group of powerful strangers? How could he say it so calmly? If it were the children of his own tribe, even if they were not scared to tears, they would be very nervous. At this moment, Quan Mo acknowledged the absolute status of between the clouds and the water. If they were slightly worse, they would not be able to raise such children. If the children of his own tribe could be like this, why should he worry about the Quan family's prosperity? "Xiao Bei, seeing you guys come, we are very happy." Xiao Bei? Xiao Yuan? Am I dreaming? How did you guys come here? Just as Quan Mo was stammering, a group of people came from another side path. There were people pulling mules and people driving donkeys. The animals were all carrying things. At a rough glance, there were about 40 people and 16 or 17 animals. The person who shouted in joy was the leader of the group. After he shouted, less than 2 seconds later, he shouted again, "Put down the things. Quick, protect the little ancestor." Following his words, the people who came with him all rushed over, not caring about the animals at all. While the others were dumbfounded and the 4 fast gunmen were about to draw their guns, the person who shouted stood between Xiao Bei and Quan Mo. Gasping for breath, he said to Quan Mo, "Let me tell you, Quan, you better be honest. I am protecting you, but the 9 little ancestors behind me will not be able to survive. If they are hurt a little, your tribe's 800 people won't be able to survive. I'm not trying to scare you, but think carefully. Do you know who they are? Fortunately, I came at the right time. If I came a little later and you spoke loudly and scared them, my trade route would be cut off." Everyone did not make a sound. They just looked at the person who came to block them. This person was happy and nervous for a while. When he found that the others did not react, he realized that things seemed to be different from what he had guessed. He leaned over, turned his head, and said to Xiao Bei awkwardly, "Xiao Bei, why aren't you following Xiao Bao and Cuckoo? Why are you guys running around blindly? What if you get hurt?" Xiao Bei really wanted to bite this person to death. "You said I was running around blindly? You are the one who is messing around, okay?" Xiao Bei put his hand on his waist and was about to take out his gun. He gasped for breath twice and smiled at the person who came over. He said, "You are here to do business, right? Thank you very much. We are here to play with our brothers and sisters. We heard that there is a tribe nearby, and the chief, Quan Moe, is a good person. So, we came to play. Everyone is here, hee hee." This person understood, so he became even more embarrassed. It seemed that he was meddling in other people's business. He looked at the guards of the Zhang family and Wang family standing not far away and rubbed his hands in embarrassment. "Xiao Bei, it's not that I want to disturb you. Look, when I turned around from behind the rock, I saw you 9 little ancestors standing in front of Quan. What if there is some misunderstanding? This is not the interior of the Tang Empire. Oh, I'm not saying that I don't trust Quan. I mean, right?" Xiao Bei looked and found that it was indeed so. He had just turned around from behind a rock mountain, and his position was the most obvious. So he changed the topic and said, "I wonder if so many people can enter the enclosed area?" "Yes, absolutely. The space inside is big. I come here 3 times a year. I'm familiar with it." The person who came to sell the goods immediately answered and said to Quan Mo, "Go in and stand outside. Let me tell you, I brought a lot of good things this time. Have you ever eaten canned whale meat? You haven't seen it before, right? I brought it. This thing." At this point, he looked at Xiao Bei and the others. He paused for a moment before continuing, "If you want to say that this thing is good, it's really just average. However, you guys haven't tried it before, right? Try it and it's not expensive." Quan Mo immediately followed the words and invited Xiao Bei and the others into the stockade. At the same time, he thought about the canned whale meat. He estimated that it was not expensive in the Tang Empire, and Xiao Bei and the others all knew about it. So, Fan, who came once every few months, was too embarrassed to raise the price. That was why he said those words just now. However, Quan Mo did not intend to lower the price. He had never eaten whale meat, but before, a merchant had mentioned that it was a kind of fish that grew in the sea. It was very big, and ordinary people could not catch it. It was not as easy as catching fish in Dianqi Lake. When he exchanged things later, he would exchange more for a taste. He did not care too much about such things, but there was one thing he had to ask first. Fan, did you bring salt this time?" Quan Mo asked expectantly. "No. Didn't I send you a lot of salt last time? Did you eat it all?" Fan was stunned and asked. Quan Mo regretted it and nodded with a worried expression. He said, "The cured meat is not ready yet, so it can't be eaten. It has to be stored for a year. There are still more than 8 months. Bring the salt, and we will put the raw meat in the jar the next day, add salt, and seal it. The remaining salt is not enough for us to eat for half a month." "Then what should we do? I can't make it in time. Can others come?" Fan was worried and complained, "Why didn't you tell me last time? If you had told me that you were going to salt the raw meat, I would have brought it for you this time." Xiao Bei listened from the side and felt sorry for the locals. Just salt was enough to make them so worried. No wonder her brother insisted on not letting the price of salt rise. She used to think nothing of it, but now she understood how much the people who really needed salt craved it. As for the cured meat, it was nothing. Her brother and sister had told her that the people here had a habit, especially those who raised pigs. After killing the pigs, they directly cut the meat and ate it with their hands. They did not go through any other heat processing. Then, more people put it in jars, put salt, and sealed it. When there was no meat, they would take it out to eat. Generally, they would store it for about a year. When the meat was taken out, it would be very delicious. It was the same principle as making ham. It was just that she did not want to eat it when there was other food. Raw meat was too fishy, and it was not sashimi. Opening her mouth, Xiao Bei suppressed the thoughts in her heart and turned to discuss with the other 8 people. She did not want to make the same mistake as when she sold the dogs last time. Just as Fan Fan and Quan Moa were talking about how to solve the problem of salt shortage, Xiao Bei and the others discussed the result and let Xiao Bei communicate. Chief Quan Moa, we have brought salt here. We can give it to you free of charge, but we have a condition. When Quan Moa heard that there was salt, she immediately became alert and asked nervously, "How much salt do you have?" "As much as you want. When we leave, we will leave some people behind to lead you to a better life. We are afraid that you will not agree, so it is very difficult. After all, you have salt here, and it is a good salt. Although Jianqi Lake is fresh water, my brother and sister said that there is salt." Xiao Bei told them the result of the discussion. Before Quan Moa could react, Fan Fan exclaimed, "There is salt? There is salt here? Impossible. It is impossible that there is no salt." "Yes, Xiao Bao and Cuckoo said there is, then there must be." "Quan Moa, you are lucky. Hurry up and say something." Fan Fan originally wanted to deny it, but when he thought about it, it was Cuckoo and Xiao Bao who said it. He immediately supported it. Quan Moa asked in surprise, "Just because they said there is, there is?" "Of course. Even if there is no salt, if they say there is, there will be immediately. Because they said that you don't understand the two of them. It seems that we don't have to come here to deliver salt in the future. We can only choose other things." Sigh. Fan Fan began to worry. Chapter 1299. Quan Moa looked at Fan Fan in a daze. He was not like the people of the Tang Empire. He knew Xiao Bao and Cuckoo very well. His impression of the two was from 3 years ago. To be precise, it was not his impression of the two people, but his impression of the trading company between the clouds and the water. 3 years ago, the trading company between the clouds and the water came, which made the local goods valuable and the foreign goods cheaper. Since then, the trading company between the clouds and the water never came again. Quan Mo was very grateful at that time, but he was more angry at the merchants in the past. After thinking about it, he gradually stopped being angry. This was because if it was the tribe that transported the goods and sold them, he didn't know anything. Not to mention the price, it would be good if he didn't take the wrong route. He once asked other merchants about the trading company between the clouds and the water, but they were all secretive. At that time, he played a little trick to provoke them, saying that the trading company between the clouds and the water was benevolent and righteous. As a result, the merchants were not only not angry, but also agreed with him. As the sun rose and set, Quan Mo gradually forgot about the trading company between the clouds and the water. Until today, when he heard about it again, it evoked the memories buried in his heart. He showed more kindness to the people who came. At this moment, when he heard the children said that there was salt in the local area, his mind began to work. In addition, he found that Fan Fan was not as reluctant to talk about the trading company between the clouds and the water as before. Instead, he became easier to talk to. He could not help but ask, "What are the surnames of Xiao Bao and Cuckoo that you mentioned?" "Zhang and Wang. You don't know?" "Oh, yes, no one mentioned it to you before. They are from Sanshui County. I guess you don't know where Sanshui County is. Your good luck is coming. In the future, it will be very convenient to eat salt, and you can also fish out of the pond, marinate it with salt, and sell it elsewhere." Fan Fan's eyes kept moving as he spoke. He was thinking about what goods to use to replace salt when he did business with the local people in the future. After all, the price of salt was relatively high here, and it was convenient to carry. Quan Mo was not assured. After thinking for a while, he asked again, "If there is really salt, where is it? Should we take the salt out, or should they? Are you selling it to us, or are we just using it as we please?" "It should be used casually." Fan Fan wasn't sure either. Who knew how Xiao Bao and Cuckoo brought Xiao Bei and the others here? Moreover, they didn't even want to meet Quan Moa personally. Rolling his eyes, Fan Fan said, "My guess is that there is no salt in the water in the pool. It must be buried somewhere and needs people to dig it up." Xiao Bao and Cuckoo can't have sent people to dig up the salt and process it. They must have needed local people to do the work, which is you people with the surname Quan. When the time comes, you just need to cooperate and dig out the salt. I don't think they will sell it to you. In that case, you will dig it out and use it yourself. Although it hasn't been processed, it might not taste good or it might be a little poisonous. Don't you agree? Quan Mo was slightly relieved. Thinking about it, it was true. If his own people dug up the salt and sold it to his own people, he could easily take the salt out while digging. There was no need to charge them. However, he still felt that it wasn't reliable. He thought that Xiao Bao and Cuckoo wouldn't be so stupid as to let his own people do the mining. He guessed that they would secretly find a place with salt, extract some, and sell it to his own people. The more Quan Mo thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. He said to Fan Fan, "Let's ask clearly first. If they dare to ask us to pay for it, I will make it impossible for them to gain a foothold in the area. The blood of the warriors in our tribe is hot." Fan Fan was stunned and looked at Quan Mo in surprise. His face changed from its previous calm to a trace of coldness and ferocity. He chuckled and said to Quan Mo, "Don't let me hear the same thing in the future. Otherwise, I guarantee that your tribe won't be able to sell to us anymore. You won't be able to exchange for our things." As a chief, Quan Mo's IQ wasn't bad. When he heard Fan Fan's words, he immediately knew that the other party was unhappy and even threatened him. He smiled and asked tentatively, "Didn't you say that we are brothers? Why would you fall out with us for them?" "Of course, I'll treat it as if you don't understand. I'll forgive you this time. Next time, if I have a chance to cut you with a knife, I'll do it first. If I don't have a chance, I'll go back and spend money to hire people to cut you down. Moreover, when I send the news back, countless people will come to fight you. There's no need for Xiao Bao and Cuckoo to do it themselves." Fan Fan wasn't afraid that his words would offend the other party. This was a matter of principle, and he couldn't back down. When Quan Mo heard this, he began to re-evaluate the status of Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. He laughed and said, "I really don't understand. Now that you mention it, I remember. Why are you so protective of them? Why would they give you money to spend? Before, they sent people to set the price. Don't you hate them?" "Huh? Hate?" Xiao Bao sent the caravan to stabilize the price. It must be to help us, not harm us. I can't think of why, but I'm sure of this. If they earn money, of course they can give it to us to spend. As long as I have a good reason for using the money, or if I have a good plan, I can even meet them directly and discuss it with them. Then they can give me the money. I won't talk to you anymore. Where are Xiao Bei and the others? I'll go talk to them. You have to be more respectful to them. They are different from other children. Although they are young, they can help you a lot." After Fan Fan said this, he turned and walked in the direction of Xiao Bei and the others. He could see that in the distance, Xiao Bei and the others were in contact with the local children. Quan Mo hurriedly chased after him. As he walked, he said, "Can a few children decide our big matters?" "Big matters? Brother Quan, let me tell you, your matters here are small matters to Xiao Bei and the others. You have a small population. If it were in the past, I definitely wouldn't have told you. Since they are here now, I'll talk to you properly when they return. That way, you won't be at a disadvantage if you make a wrong judgment in the future." Fan Fan didn't stop walking. He turned his head and spoke to Quan Mo. The look in his eyes made Quan Mo feel very uncomfortable. It was like pity. They were just a few children. Was there a need to do this? By the time the two of them arrived near Xiao Bei and the others, Xiao Bei was already communicating well with the children in the stronghold. It was mainly Xiao Bei talking while the local children listened attentively. "This pool is actually a lake. The water inside doesn't have any taste. I've seen lakes with salty water before. When you drink a mouthful, it's bitter and astringent. However, you can boil the salt out of it. You put the water into a jar and put it on a fire. You boil it until the water is little by little. What's left is salt. If you find something else in the salt, you cook it with yellow mud. That's the simplest way. It's very difficult to cook it the first time, but when it's done, there's brine. The next time you cook it, put the brine in, and the speed of salt production will be faster. If you go east or south, you'll encounter the sea. There's even more salt in it. You don't need to cook it. You can directly dry it. You can get a lot of it at one time. You also need to add brine. Otherwise, it will turn into salt too slowly. Xiao Bei spoke to the children around her. There were both big and small children. Every child had a lollipop in their mouth. They listened carefully to what was magical to them. At the same time, they followed Xiao Bei's words and imagined. Xiao Bei didn't talk about the prosperity of the capital, the willow shore scenery of Hangzhou, and the snowfall in Jili province. Those topics were too far away from the local children. She chose to start with the local things. Dianqi Lake was a lake. She led from this lake to other lakes, from fresh water to salty water, and then to the sea. Not to mention the children, even the adults in the tribe listened. They didn't have much chance to leave the local area and go far away. They didn't know much about the outside world. They didn't even know about the Zhang family and Wang family in Sanshui County. What else could they know? See, this is the most adorable girl of my great Tang, Xiao Bei. Each of the 9 little fellows has a different ability. When speaking with others, Xiao Bei is usually the one who takes the lead. Even when going to the morning court in the capital to interact with officials, Xiao Bei is always the one who speaks first. Fan Fan walked over and listened to Xiao Bei speak. He showed a doting expression and introduced her to Quan Moa. Quan Moa nodded habitually. She suddenly reacted and asked Fan Fan in surprise, "You said they can enter the morning court of the Tang Emperor? Will they see the Emperor?" Haha. Fan Fan laughed before speaking. After laughing, he said to Quan Moa, "It's very easy for them to see the Emperor. As long as they want to, they can see him every day. They can even live in the palace. I heard that Xiao Bei used to sit on the dragon chair with His Majesty and fight for food. Xiao Bei and the others call His Majesty Uncle Emperor. Don't look at them because they are young. They are all third-rank officials. When they came to see you today, they didn't wear formal clothes. Otherwise, you would have seen a different Xiao Bei." When Fan Fan talked about Xiao Bei and the others, the smile on his face could not stop. It was as if he was showing off to Quan Moa that his Tang Empire had cute Xiao Bei. Quan Moa listened and felt that she had become stupid. She could not understand why a group of children could not only see the emperor, but also be rude to him. They even had third-rank official positions. He knew that third-rank officials were very high officials. How did a group of children become officials? Because they were good-looking? With doubts, Quan Moa tried not to listen to Xiao Bei's story because he was attracted. Xiao Bei was talking about birds. There were birds in Dianqi Lake. She was talking about birds elsewhere, especially the various seabirds in the sea. She talked about how they looked when they caught fish. Some birds would stop on the side of a boat or the mast of a sailboat when they were tired of flying. They would even sprinkle a handful of rice. The birds in the sea would land on the deck to eat. They were not afraid of people. He also wanted to hear it, but there were more important things to understand first. Thus, he pulled Fan Fan back and asked, "You said that Xiao Bei and the others are high-ranking officials. It's easy for them to see your emperor. Then why can we see Xiao Bei and the others? Their status is high, so it should be very difficult to see them." Fan Fan smiled again and nodded. "It is not easy to see other officials, but it is much easier to see Xiao Bei and the others. There is also our emperor. If I want to see him, I only need to go to the capital and wait outside the imperial palace. His Majesty comes out almost every day to walk around and take a look. When the time comes, I will be able to see him. If I let someone search me, I can even walk beside him." If I have any good ideas in my heart, I can say it out loud. His Majesty will stop and ask me. His Majesty and the people of the Zhongwang family have high status, not because they are not able to see him, but because they are high in our hearts. Quan Moa listened and somewhat understood, but he still could not understand. It was difficult for him to send people to see the emperor of the Tang Empire. His own king had to listen to other people's arrangements. Why was it so easy for his people to see him? What if there is an assassination attempt? Quan Moa asked the doubt in his heart. Impossible. Would the people of the Tang Empire assassinate the emperor of the Tang Empire? If others want to assassinate him, he must be able to get close to him. It is not difficult for me to see him, but if you go to the capital, it will be very difficult for you to see him. I have never seen him before. I can't go to the capital just to see him, it is too far away. I heard that every time His Majesty comes out of the palace, the Jinwu guards will first control the surrounding 1 li and only allow people of the Tang Empire to go over. Outsiders are all kept far away. Ordinary people like us also understand that when the emperor comes out, we will immediately help to keep an eye on the people nearby. If we find someone we have not seen before, we will go and ask. Just like your small tribe, it is easy for your people to see you, the leader, but it is difficult for outsiders to see you. Fan Fan said, his tone full of pride. Although he had not seen the emperor with his own eyes, he could see that the emperor was very close to him in his heart. Quan Moa chuckled. How can it be the same? How big is the Tang Empire? How old am I? Your emperor's courage is indeed extraordinary. That is because our emperor does not feel guilty about what we have done. According to our words, if you do not do anything wrong, you are not afraid of ghosts knocking on the door. Let's go and see what else Xiao Bei and the others want to do. Fan Fan said as he moved forward again. Quan Moa also followed. He wanted to hear all kinds of interesting things from Xiao Bei. However, when he heard it again, he was dumbfounded, because we want to make our Jianqi Lake more beautiful. We want to build many corridors and pavilions on it. We want to make our Jianqi Lake safer so that we don't have to worry about flooding our homes in the future. We also want to go to more fun places in our Tang Empire to play. As long as we get registered, we can eat our own candies and wear more beautiful clothes. What do you think? Do you want to be registered? Xiao Bei said until here. The children in the tribe shouted almost at the same time, yes. Okay, it is very simple to be registered. We will send people to stay here with you. When the time comes, we will build the beautiful manor of our Tang Empire with you. They will lead you to live a happy life, okay? Xiao Bei asked again. Okay. The children shouted in unison. Xiao Bei, will our Tang Empire give us a lot of candy to eat after we return to the Tang Empire? A little boy asked. There are also books to read. Our family has precious candy houses in various places in our Tang Empire. There are good children's books and fun things in them. You can go and play. Why don't we have them here? Didn't you just say that we are also considered people of the Tang Empire? The little boy felt very angry. They had said that they were all people of the Tang Empire. What other places had but they did not? Why? There will be soon because I didn't come here before, so I didn't know. Now I know. Let's build a precious candy house in the Jianqi Lake area of the Tang Empire first. What do you think? Okay. Quan Moa was speechless. The child who asked was his son. After a while, he heard Xiao Bei continue to instigate. He turned to Fan Fan and said, Now I believe what you said just now. Xiao Bei and the others can indeed squeeze on the dragon throne with your emperor and snatch food to eat. They also admit that you approve of them. We haven't talked about other things yet. First, we came to win people's hearts and directly asked for the place. Moreover, the children of my tribe support it. Even if I agree, can Xiao Bei and the others decide? Fan Fan was also full of smiles. When he heard Quan Moa's question, he immediately became serious and said, They can decide. They can mobilize the army of any place in the Tang Empire. They can ask the highest official of any place to do as they say. Anyone who is asked by them must do as they say. Otherwise, They will be beheaded and punished for rebellion. Quan Moa was dumbfounded again. He felt that Fan Fan was lying. If others heard this, who would believe that a group of children could mobilize the local army? If the local army generals did not listen, they would be punished for rebellion? They should be treating Xiao Bei and the others as rebels, okay? Quan Moa was skeptical and asked, what if Xiao Bei and the others mobilize the army outside to attack the capital? It means that someone in the capital is rebelling or being attacked. The army in the capital can no longer protect the emperor's safety. Therefore, Xiao Bei and the others will mobilize the army to help His Majesty. There will not be a situation of Xiao Bei and the others rebelling. Fan Fan said in a firm tone. I don't believe it. With this kind of power and opportunity, who would not rebel? Quan Moa said with a look of, don't treat me like a fool. That's because you don't understand. What's the benefit of rebelling? If you were the emperor, would you be able to govern the country? Would others support you? You can't sit firmly in that position. If Xiao Bao and Cuckoo wanted to rebel, they would have succeeded long ago. Do you know how many soldiers they have? Do you know how important they are in our hearts? You will know in the future. Don't think that others will rebel. If they rebel, they will just have more power. Right now, Xiao Bao and Cuckoo have enough power. They can order anyone in the Tang Empire to do anything, including me. They told me to take out all the money, and that they would need it. I didn't even frown, and did as I was told, because I knew they wouldn't harm me, and that they needed me to contribute. It was a big problem. Of course, this kind of thing will not happen. I am just saying. They have countless ways to solve this problem. Listen to my advice. You have to be prepared in advance. Xiao Bei and the others are not speaking nonsense. In the future, this place will be under the jurisdiction of the Tang Empire, not like the vassal king's management now. Fan Fan also began to cooperate with Xiao Bei and Quan Moa. Quan Moa's expression became heavy. He realized that Fan Fan wasn't joking. After thinking for a while, he said, I know that my tribe can't beat them. I've already seen at least 10,000 people. They are camping in front of us. What I want to ask is, can you tell me what our life will be like in the future if they send people to manage us? It will be very good. It will be a life you don't even dare to think about now. This Jianqi Lake will be even more beautiful. Don't you see that there are people working on it now? They usually do it directly. Cherish it. Fan Fan said with a blessing. Chapter 1300. Xiao Bei was still painting a picture of the tribesmen. He only talked about the benefits in the future, but did not mention the obligations that the tribesmen had to bear. The children in the tribe liked to listen the most. They were attracted by the various activities that Xiao Bei introduced for children. The adults were also listening. Although they were not as engrossed as the children, they also had their own fantasies about life in the outside world. Without much knowledge, they could not say anything to refute, and did not know how to ask about the specific things. It was only because Xiao Bei's picture was too big, and it sounded very reasonable. It was possible to achieve it. Compared to the people in the tribe, Quan Moa, as the chief, was much stronger and more realistic. He hoped that what Fan Fan said was true, that the Zhang family and Wang family of Sanshui County had the ability to do what his child said now. What supported him to try his best to believe Fan Fan's words was that the caravan between the clouds and the water that came here 3 years ago did indeed change the price of goods exchanged between the two sides. From this, he could see the strength of the caravan. At this moment, there were also some thoughts that he was worried about. First, how fast could the Zhang family and Wang family make their child say or brag about it? He did not expect to really do it completely. He would be satisfied if only part of it could be realized. Second, how would they protect their good lives? Jianqi Lake was surrounded by people with the surname Quan. Not far away, there were people with the surname Meng. Even further west, there were the 6 Zhao eyeing them covetously. Once the people with the surname Quan had a good life, would others just stand by and watch? Would they not plunder by force? With these worries, Quan Mo, disgust with Fan Fan. Now, he could only believe in Fan Fan, who usually performed well in trading. In 3 years, Fan Fan had not deceived his tribe. Can you talk to them and let them take out something that we can see first? For example, salt. Fan Fan did not wait for Quan Moe to finish and asked first. He could understand the uncertainty in the other party's heart. If it were him, and he didn't know the Zhang family and the Wang family, he would also think that Xiao Bei was talking nonsense. He would say that there was a beautiful corridor built on Dianqi Lake, and there were countless boats fishing on it. There were also boats carrying people who could spend a lot of Tang Empire's money on sightseeing. In addition, they had built a dam and dug a man-made river. In the future, the region would not suffer from floods every year. The children of the tribe would be able to learn the various books of the Great Tang and even learn how to write. They didn't need to spend money to see a doctor when they were sick, and the medicine they took was very effective. Even if they couldn't be cured, at least it was better than using random herbs or curses in the tribe. Who would dare to think about it if they had never seen it before? However, Fan Fan knew that it was all true, and it was not difficult to make it happen. At least, it was not difficult for Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. If he could take Quan Moe to Tang Empire, he believed that all the doubts would disappear. Not to mention Sanshui County and the capital that he had never been to, as long as he went to Luzhou, he would know how powerful Little Bao and Little Cuckoo were. The prosperity of that place was unimaginable, and it was impossible to guess that it was a desolate place many years ago, a place of exile. The ships on the sea in Luzhou, the crowds at the docks, the square that stretched as far as the eye could see, the wide road, and the kapok blooming like a sea of fire in spring. It really made people feel like they were in a dream. As he thought about it, Fan Fan became homesick. Although the place he came from was not as good as Luzhou, it was still very good. It was more than 100 times better than the local area. If it were not for the money, who would want to go to such a poor place? Quan Mo was waiting for Fan Fan's answer to give him confidence. When he saw Fan Fan's mind wander after he said the word salt, he had no choice but to nudge Fan Fan and say, "It's salt. How many days will it take for them to let us see the salt? I think they should send someone who can talk to us instead of sending a child. Although you said the child is very powerful, I don't think so." "Oh, impressive. Right. I don't think it will take more than a few days. At least before they leave, I will let you see some hope. Don't worry, listen to me. If you want to see Xiaobao and Cuckoo, you have to wait for them to find time, otherwise they won't have time to see you." Fan Fan helped Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan say something. What are they busy with? Quan Mo felt that Fan Fan was deliberately saying this to deceive him. If the person in charge did not come, it meant that they looked down on his small tribe. The other party had more than 10,000 people. Fan Fan glanced at Quan Wei and said, "War. Now, Tang is at war with the Duo people. You should know this. They are the ones who command the army and dispatch the logistics. Also, Xiao Bao is in charge of the economic development of Tang. All the merchants of Tang have to listen to him. They only dare to raise the price of anything when he says so." Quan Mo did not believe Fan Fan. He suspected that Fan Fan and the group of children were colluding to deceive his tribe. A faint look of displeasure appeared on his face. After pondering for a while, he said to Fan Fan, "I want to have a hunting competition with their people. I want to give them what I get and let them taste the delicacies of our tribe. Can you help me persuade them?" When Fan Fan heard this, he understood. Quan Mo still felt that he was not telling the truth. The other party wanted to show off their strength so that Xiao Bao and Cuckoo would care about their tribe. It was ridiculous that they dared to have a martial arts competition with their team. Crazy, this was truly crazy. A team of more than 10,000 people could easily destroy any tribe. Even if the 6 Zhao were to join forces, as long as Xiao Bao and Huan Huan were willing, they could end the battle in a month at most. No matter how deep into the mountains they hid in, it would be useless. You are so stubborn. Fine, you are too embarrassed to say it. I will tell you. It's just hunting together. It's simple. Xiaobei and the others are probably bored. There is no one waiting for them to clean up here. Fan Fan shook his head and agreed. He did not go directly to Xiaobei. Instead, he randomly picked one of the 9 people who accompanied Xiaobei and whispered to him. The person listened while looking at Quan Mo A. When Fan Fan finished, he nodded to show that he understood. He squeezed to the front and whispered to Xiao Hai, who was standing behind Xiaobei. Xiao Hai looked up at the position of the sun and felt that today was not the day. If they wanted to hunt together, they would have to start tomorrow. They would gather early in the morning and enter the mountains. They would eat something at noon and arrive at the agreed place before dinner. Then, they would compete to see who could hunt more prey. So, after giving a few instructions to the person who came, he went to Xiaobei, who was still happily inciting others, and discussed with him. When Xiaobei heard that his brother wanted to compete with the locals, his eyes widened. He was very excited and nodded repeatedly. He began to speak loudly to the people around him. Just now, the leader of your tribe, Quan Mo A, has already discussed with us. Tomorrow morning, we will gather here and go into the mountains to hunt animals together. At night, we will hold a barbecue party, the kind that you have always liked to do. Everyone will gather around the campfire and eat, drink, sing, and dance. Now, why don't we go to the pond to catch a few fish and finish our meal first? What do you think? Okay. The children in the tribe were led by Xiaobei to form a tacit understanding in terms of cooperation. The adults were stunned. They could not understand why the leader wanted to hunt with others. What about the salt? When were they going to dig for the salt? With these questions in mind, the group walked toward Dianchi Lake together. It was not far away. The locals also fished. They used hemp ropes to weave nets or forked fish on the shore or small boats. It was also a kind of daily food. The news quickly spread to Zhong Xiaobao and Wang Wan's tent. When the two of them heard the report from their subordinates, they looked at each other and said at the same time, "It's all right. It's all right. It's much easier than I thought." When interacting with them, the scariest thing isn't a competition. It's that they don't give you a chance to communicate. For example, when we were in Luzhou, the local mountain people were always vigilant of you. When you went to interact with them, the first thing they would think of was how to guard against you. At that time, it was a good time to spread the water. Let's call it a good time. Many of the villagers were threatened. With our help, we had the opportunity to communicate with them. After that, we even had to let father adopt a local child. It wasn't easy. Zhong Xiaobao was in a good mood as he reminisced about the past. Wang Wan said empathetically, "It's really difficult. There's good news as soon as we come into contact with this place. This shows that business can provide a lot of help to political exchanges. The price adjustment 3 years ago has yielded results, and the locals have more trust in Tang. We have to make good use of it. The hunting tools they use are knives, guns, bows, and simple traps. Before we compete with them tomorrow, we'll let them see how we use guns. Then, we'll tell them that we don't use guns. We'll use cold weapons like them. Yes, we'll convince them when they feel that they're the strongest. That way we can communicate with them in other aspects. We'll also have to mine some salt first to give them hope. Free salt can also allow them to save the things they need to exchange for salt. They can exchange it for other necessities." Zhong Xiaobao began to think about what kind of development model he should develop before he left. Right now, he was helping the people with the surname Quan, who were the white barbarians. There was also the black barbarians with the surname Meng to deal with. The black barbarians were more difficult to interact with than the white barbarians. The language was a big obstacle, and there was also the philosophy of survival. You might think that everyone should develop together, but the black barbarians felt that it was more convenient to plunder. It took a lot of extra effort to gradually change people's hearts. Wang Wan also thought about the issue of ethnic integration. Peaceful integration, not military force. If it was military force, it was simple. The people she brought were enough to push all the people with the surname Meng. When the time came, the people with the surname Meng would become obedient. But that would require bloodshed. Why bother? Why did they always leave a line for the 6 Zhao? It was all because they were the ancestors of the Yi. Most importantly, the 6 Zhao posed little threat, unlike the Turks and Tibetans. Without a unified 6 Zhao, they would not be able to form a powerful fighting force, and they would not have any military advantage over the Great Tang. How can we rope in the people surnamed Meng without resorting to force? Give them direct benefits? Wang Wan asked. Zhang Xiaobao nodded and then shook his head. We have to give them benefits, but we can't give them for free. Otherwise, they will think that we owe them. The best way is to let them see that there is hope for a better life by interacting with us. Let me think about it and see what we should do. Wang Wan also thought about it. They needed a very good way to quickly solve the current problem. When the time came, they would have to leave and there was no more time to waste. While the two of them were thinking, an intelligence officer came in from outside the tent. With a happy expression, he said to the two of them, "There is news from Annan. Zhan La has sent a message in advance to tell the government there that their king has written a letter of apology and sent people to our Tang Empire to ask for forgiveness in the capital city. They hope that we won't go there. They also said that this time, they have brought a lot of valuable things as compensation. After the money is exchanged, it will be used to make up for the damage their people have done to our Tang. They also said that if there is a need, their king can come in person, but the Tang side has to give a guarantee that they will not kill them when they come." As expected, a weak country has no diplomacy, Zhang Xiaobao said to Wang Wan after the person left. It has always been like this. Force is not the goal, but it is a good way to carry out politics. If it was the Tang of the past, they would not have done this. It is more likely that they would have stationed troops at the border to threaten us. Wang Wan sighed in relief. If they could avoid attacking Zhen La, they would not attack him. Otherwise, it would waste too much time. If it was in the past, maybe those officials would have taken the initiative to find women for them to play with to show the magnanimity of our country. A bunch of people who deserve to be killed. Now, I want to see who dares. It is fine to be nice to others, but they have to be obedient first. It is better than coming one by one to say a few nice words and then some soldiers think that they can be the boss. Zhang Xiaobao scolded for a while, but he was also in a good mood. He did not need to worry about Zhen La now. He could use the break to observe whether Zhen La was secretly mobilizing troops to build up the local area. Then, he would pass through the 6 Zhao and participate in the battle there. Tell Xiao Bei and the others to come back quickly. There is a new mission, Zhang Xiaobao shouted outside. Wang Wan smiled and asked, "Do you have to find something for them to do?" "I have to." "Do you think they can stay idle?" "Moreover, by doing more things, they can develop experience." "I don't want to raise a bunch of obedient children. If I don't train them now, they will still grow up with losses when they grow up. That is not my way of teaching." When Zhang Xiaobao talked about his younger brothers and sisters, he showed a doting expression. Wang Wan's smile did not change. The people who came back just now said about their situation there. It seems that they are already doing well. They actually started to instigate people. They even tricked one of the chief's sons in front of the chief. It is really a good method to start with the children. Let's go and take a look at Jianqi Lake. This Jianqi Lake that still retains its original flavor. Zhang Xiaobao took the binoculars and pulled Wang Wan out of the tent. If you don't have the ability, don't swim to the deeper parts. Look, drink water, right? Don't be afraid, relax. We will bring you to the shore. In the future, when you practice swimming, it is best to do it in places where you can't reach. Let your body train, have endurance, and be closer to the water before you go to the deeper parts. In the water of Jianqi Lake, Xiao Bei and Xiao Yuan were swimming towards the shore together with a child. Quan Mo's son had received a pair of swimming trunks. When he saw Xiao Bei and the other 9 people catching fish with their bare hands, he was very envious. Therefore, he felt that he could also swim normally, so he followed them into the deeper parts to catch fish. In the end, he, who usually only swam and played, could not bear the physical exhaustion of catching fish. Naturally, he had no strength and struggled in the water. He was supported by Xiao Bei and Xiao Yuan. As they swam back, Xiao Bei talked about him. Xiao Bei and Xiao Yuan looked very relaxed. They could even laugh a few times. They did not have the difficult situation when they were swimming after saving someone in the water. Quan Mo, who was on the shore, was also very worried. His son had swam too far away. At that time, there were only children around. He was worried that the children would not be able to save his son, and it would be too late by the time the adults came to rescue him. He did not expect Xiao Bei to be so fast. She was dozens of steps away, but she was like a fish. She reached the shore in a few strokes. Even when his son grabbed her arm, she did not sink. She still waited for another child, Xiao Yuan, to come over and support his son together. Quan Mo was very helpless. He knew why his son had gone down to learn how to catch fish with his bare hands. It was because the 5 little girls were wearing beautiful swimsuits and skirts. His son wanted to show off, but in the end, he made a fool of himself. The more Quan Mo thought about it, the more embarrassed he felt. He raised his leg to go over, but was stopped by Fan Fan. He advised, "Children love beauty. Everyone has that. Xiao Bei and the others are so cute. Don't adults always show off in front of beautiful women? If you beat the children now, you will be giving Xiao Bei and the others a hard time. When Xiao Bao and Cuckoo find out, you will suffer. They dote on their younger siblings to the heavens." Quan Mo retracted his leg. He felt that it was not good to lecture the people of the tribe in front of the guests. After thinking about it, he turned his eyes and asked Fan Fan, "I think Xiao Bei is not bad. Not only is she good-looking, but she is also capable. Can my son—" "Don't even think about it. Xiao Yuan is Xiao Bei's man in the future. 100 of your sons can't compare to Xiao Yuan. It seems that you still don't know their identity. Let me tell you this. Even if they don't object, the Tang people will not agree. How can we let Xiao Bei marry into your family?" Fan Fan looked at Quan Mo as if he was looking at a fool. "Aren't we brothers?" Quan Mo began to pull strings again. "Don't. Brothers are brothers. If the girls in his family want to get married, His Majesty has to make an appointment first. You, a small tribe, want to get involved? Say something practical, don't joke." Fan Fan did not buy Quan Mo's words and did not give him any face. Quan Mo finally gave up, and he decided that he needed to find out just what sort of status the Zhang and Wang clans had in the Great Tang for Fan Fan to be so protective of them. From Fan Fan's words, it was hard to imagine that all the people of the Great Tang were willing to protect the Zhang and Wang clans. "Okay, if you still feel uncomfortable breathing, squat while breathing. This way, you can cough out the water you choked in. Don't be afraid of the water in your ears. Just shake your head. Remember, don't take risks in the future." At this time, Xiao Bei and Xiao Yuan had pushed Quan Mo's son into the shallow water and told him the method. Then they turned around and swam inside. Obviously, they were not tired from saving people just now. Before Xiao Bei and the others could catch a few fish, someone shouted from the shore, "Little ancestors, come back. The young master said that he has arranged a new task for you." "Hey!" Xiao Bei cheered. She pressed on Xiao Yuan's shoulder and jumped up in the water. Her calves were almost exposed. She jumped very high. Xiao Yuan, who was pressed down by her, popped his head out after 2 seconds. He was very angry. Chapter 1301. Xiao Bei's group of 9 came and went back, leaving behind only 100 people to help the tribe catch fish in Dianchi Lake. They mainly taught the locals how to cast a net, the habits of the fish in Dianchi Lake, and the basic knowledge of raising fish. They were not required to raise fish, but only for those who were willing to do so. When the time came, the fish raised would be fatter. It was not hand-scattered artificial feed, but natural biological bait. How to breed biological bait was also particular, just like the Zhuangzi of the Zhang family and Wang family in Sanshui County to raise maggots and earthworms. Quan Mo never left the riverside. He just called his son closer and patted him twice on the head to relieve his previous worry. For him, the most intuitive impression was that Xiao Bei and the others were very good at swimming, especially Xiao Bei. After entering the water, there was no trace of panic at all. That series of movements made people feel very comfortable, just like on land. In addition, the people who stayed behind now explained the species of fish and shrimp in Dianqi Lake, as well as water birds and so on, made Quan Mo feel that this was not his hometown, but someone else's territory. With confusion, he asked Fan Fan, "Did they already have ideas about my place? They want to train people who are familiar with swimming first. When the time comes, they are afraid of losses on land, so they run into the water to sneak attack my tribe." Fan Fan did not leave with Xiao Bei and the others. It was not that he was not allowed to go, but as long as he found a random reason, he could follow behind and see Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, but he did not know what to do. Should he say that he was going to help Xiao Bao and Cuckoo persuade Quan Moi? It seemed unnecessary. Should he say that he had not been able to meet them, then what? Come back again? It was very far, and it was tiring to walk. Fan Fan was hesitating whether to go or not. When he heard Quan Moi's words, he showed an impatient expression and said, "How many times have I told you? Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family are very powerful. If they want to attack your small tribe, do they need to sneak in from the water? Look, they left behind the salt for you. Actually, they wanted to exchange something with you, but your children were too enthusiastic, so Lil Bei was embarrassed. Didn't you hear what Lil Bei said when she left, that she would bring something else to exchange for the Hericium mushroom and snake gall next time?" Hearing Fan Fan's words, Quan Mo blushed with embarrassment. He had heard it but did not respond. He did not know what he was thinking at that moment. Now, he was slightly worried and asked Fan Fan, "Will their family's adults be angry and send troops to fight?" "I can't communicate with you today. I've emphasized again and again that they are treating you with a soft policy. Why would they hit you?" "It's just a little bit of salt. I don't care about it. I care about people. People, you know." Other than being a little harsh to the original Tubo and Tujue, they were very tolerant of the people in the surrounding areas who had not established their own countries. If you don't believe me, take a look tomorrow. You'll understand when you see their martial prowess. They can kill hundreds of you as easily as crushing an ant. With their team, they can fight from here to the capital in one breath. No one can stop them. After Fan Fan finished speaking, he no longer paid attention to Quan Mo. He kept asking the same questions and was tired of answering. He glared at Quan Mo and walked into the tribe. He had to stay there tonight. Quan Mo was not angry. He liked the people of the Great Tang who were honest. He was very disgusted by those who did not speak the truth. If it were not for the things in daily life, he would not be willing to interact with those people. Of course, he also had a good impression of Lil Bei and the others. Lil Bei's words were too obvious. She wanted them to submit to the Great Tang and listen to the Great Tang's imperial court. It was much better to say one thing in front of them and another behind their backs. However, Quan Mo did not understand that Lil Bei spoke according to the person. If she saw that you were an honest person, she would tell you the truth. If you tried to spin in circles with her, she would draw countless circles for you and let you see what diplomatic language was. Because she did not speak more diplomatic language with others, Lil Bei did not feel satisfied. Thus, when she saw her brother and sister, she opened her mouth and said, "When interacting with the locals today, I found that they look forward to peace, have kind hearts, and are full of yearning for a better life in the future. They are such a group. Therefore, we have decided to follow the principle of people-oriented, concern first, and sincere communication with them. We will further communicate with them. However, you called us back and made us lose this opportunity. What should we do? Your sister is asking you." Wang Wan very naturally shifted Lil Bei's question to Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao sized up his sister. Seeing that Lil Bei seemed to be waiting for an explanation, he withdrew his smile and said to Lil Bei, "We already know about the problem you raised. Your exchange with the other side was a successful one. It was a meeting that carried forward the past and opened the way for the future. It promoted the integration and development of the people, and it also laid the initial foundation for the unification of the motherland. Your contributions cannot go unnoticed. You are worth learning from. For this reason, I respectfully commend your selfless contributions on behalf of our Zhang Xiaobao and Wang clans. I hope that you can carry forward the past and open the way for the future and make even greater contributions to the diplomatic cause. Hee hee, brother, you're too funny. Others don't even know how to cooperate. It's you who's the best. I gave them the salt for free this time. The main reason is that I found that the tribal chief, called Quan Mo, really doesn't understand us. He's always on guard. I think that if we still exchange things with them, plus the fact that there's salt here, they should think that we're here to take advantage of them. Anyway, if they develop well in the future, we won't have to worry. We don't lack these things. I found that Jianqi Lake is really beautiful. The water is blue. I dived very deep. When I opened my eyes, it was like there was a large piece of transparent glass in front of me. It's much better than the Yellow River. The last time I saved people in the Yellow River, when I opened my eyes, everything I saw was turbid. Lil Bei threw herself into her brother's arms and acted coquettishly. She then commented on Jianqi Lake. Zhang Xiaobao nodded. Jianqi Lake has always been very beautiful. The local people are also very simple. It's just that they were always bullied in the past. Later, they swallowed up another surname. In the end, after a period of time, they were destroyed by the unified Six Zhao. I mean, if we didn't come, now that we're here, we don't have to worry about that kind of thing happening. I know. Brother and sister can calculate. You said that there's salt here, so there must be salt. Brother, this is the first time I know how important salt is to people. They live a very hard life. Perhaps they didn't feel it before, but they know it now. For a little salt, they are willing to pay a lot of things. I mean, we now understand why you want to suppress the price of salt in Tang and even threaten that the people can't live without salt. Lil Bei shared what she had learned. In Luzhou and Hangzhou, salt was worthless. It could be dried by the sea, and there were piles and piles of it. Zhang Xiaobao was very gratified. He wanted to nurture his younger brothers and sisters to be more exposed to the affairs of the people and not be high and mighty. If an official was not down to earth and did not know what mistake he had made when he was caught, how sad would that be? Of course, what was even sadder was that he knew that he had made a mistake, but he refused to admit it. He knew that he had made a mistake, and you knew that he had made a mistake. He knew that you knew that he had made a mistake, but he still forced you to admit that he did not know that he had made a mistake. To use a word to describe it, it was rape. When a man raped a woman, he would blaspheme the body. When an official raped the people, he would blaspheme the soul. Zhang Xiaobao was not worried that his younger brothers and sisters would become like that. That kind of official was an incompetent official. However, he still had to say what he should say. Since you know the importance of the people's livelihood, you have to control the scale. When you sell grain to the people, you can't increase the price. When the harvest is good, you have to maintain the price when you buy grain from the people. What means do you use to make up for the difference? Cheap grain hurts the farmers, and high officials hurt the officials. Let me discuss this. One person is short. Lil Bei could not answer, but she was not depressed. She never thought that she could do everything by herself. She had always worked as a team. After a while, Lil Bei returned and said with a smile, I know. The price of grain sold to the people must not exceed the depreciation of the currency. In other words, on average, a person earns 1 copper coin a day. If grain is 5 copper coins a bushel, then a person earns 2 copper coins a day. The price of grain must not be higher than 8 copper coins a bushel. Why not 10 copper coins? Zhang Xiaobao was stunned. This answer was too good. Wang Wan, who was beside him, also showed an expectant look. Lil Bei puffed out her chest and said, because when a person earns 2 copper coins a day, it means that the value of labor in our country has increased. In other words, there will be a lower cost of necessary survival items to offset the price. If there is no offset, it means that the imperial court's policy has failed. Once there is an offset, the price of necessary goods will be lowered. At the same time, new life aids will be added. Then, according to this, it should not be 10 copper coins a bushel of grain. Instead, 2 copper coins should be used for living aids. If the production is better, it can even be 3 copper coins or 4 copper coins a day. Let's think about it. This is what a government should do. Otherwise, how can we talk about a good life? In the process of improving production technology and transforming it into productivity, if the quality of life of the people does not improve, who will the extra value belong to? Whoever it belongs to is corrupt, or is closely related to corruption. Clap, clap, clap. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan applauded together. Although the 2 necessary factors were missing, the younger siblings' answer was already good enough. If they added in the material and spiritual needs of human companions in the process of human existence, as well as the natural desires of society to influence the people around them, then it would be even more perfect. However, the younger siblings had already done very well, so they could not be too harsh on them. Lil Bei also seemed to know that the things that she and the others had painstakingly thought of were not worth mentioning in front of her siblings. Thus, when she heard the applause, she smiled modestly and said, "All of this is due to your efforts." Now, can you tell me what kind of mission you have arranged for us? Your mission is very simple. You are to appease their children while we accompany the adults of their tribe to hunt. I'll give you an idea. A fun buffet. Zhang Xiaobao said to his sister. Then, he shouted outside, "Send someone to protect Fan Fan. He only knows how to cause trouble for me." You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.